YouTube stream status. Broadcasting. Alright, it looks like it's broadcasting. I'm going to hit go live. Oh, wow. That's the first time SLOBS hasn't thrown an error when I told it to start streaming.
Ha!
Oh, shit. We're live. We're live. People can hear us. We got to put music on.
Sure?
Hold on.
I don't see it.
Here we go. Hold on. Music's coming.
Oh, there it is.
Here we go. We're professionals here.
That's good music. That's epic.
Yeah, right? They get you a little pumped up, don't it? There we go. Oh wow, that's some pixelated garbage. Alright guys, we're just getting set up here. Stand by. Doing a little bit of an intro today just for giggles and shits and all that.
Yeah, we're trying to make it pro status.
Pro status, man. Okay, why is the text so pixelated? Jesus.
I think because you're not actually changing the font size. It's actually more like stretching an image.
Got it.
Yeah.
That was it. You nailed it, sir. You, sir, a genius. Of genius epic proportions. Wait, can I make this thing scroll? Here, let's see if I can add some epic scrolling effects. Wait, can I? What gradient? What does gradient do?
Like it'll fade from red to blue.
Ooh, fancy. Unts, and some more unts, little more unts, and some unts, more unts. All right, let's see. Regular text transformation.
Make it quiet. Which I agree. Listen back to YouTube. And
Yeah, I turned the music down just a little bit. Well, I'm getting set up.
I'm way quiet compared to you.
Yeah, it's because you're bound to the desktop music. So like what I really should do is bring the music up. Here, hold on, let me bring the music up. And then I'll turn it down in browser. There we go. So now the music should be quiet and you should be loud. Can we get a confirm on chat?
Confirmation.
So now you should be, so you're almost hitting red, which is good. And the music I just turned down in the browser.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah,
all right. So let me, excuse me.
Ooh, bless you.
I know, right? All right, let's add some filters to this bish. Okay, I'm adding scrolling. Oh, my skills know no bounds, my friend.
Hang on just a second. Don't go. Don't switch the video quite yet. Hang on.
Oh, I won't. All right, Wheezy getting set up here, guys. Wait, which way? Here, I want this at like 80, wait, 90 degrees? 90, 100 degrees, 90? All right, hold on, there we go. Okay, so starting soon. Let's add a little color in the mix. Maybe a little green. Ooh, fancy. Is that fancy or is that fancy? I can't hear you at all. Did you mute yourself, sir?
I turned myself way down. That's better.
Much better.
Yeah.
All right, so we got some green scrolly goo.
Wow.
Now this is us like trying to make our stream better before we start. Okay, starting soon. Let me see. Add filters. Man, this music's like pretty boss. I'm gonna have to steal some of this for old TechTalks.
I really like it.
I mean, like Twitch stream.
They've got. He actually has it split out into different albums too, for like, different kind of feels and stuff.
Yeah,
pretty good. It's pretty good.
Dude, this baller shot collar, 20-inch blades on them Polar Holler.
Right?
Yeah. All right, so image mask and blend. Okay, I can't do that. How do you do a drop shadow on text and freaking slobs? You'd think that would be like an important one.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
They let you do opacity. You can do a gradient. The gradient color. Let's see here. All right, good enough. I think people can read that.
Yeah, looks good.
This gives people time to come in a little bit. All right, so I got a mini feed. Let me pull up my dashboard and put my dashboard over on the other screen. There we go. Now I got a feed with a chat. That is fantabulous. Do you, sir, have a chat open?
I do.
Good man. Good man. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to start spamming this everywhere. We are live on TechTalk. You guys, hey, you listeners out there, you should go spam this too.
Yeah, go tell your mom.
Everybody, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your dog. I mean, your dog might learn enough English to go tell a parrot or something, and then they'll like fly home and tell their friends. Parrots have laptops. All right, so youtube.com/Barnacules1, microphone emoji. Okay, there we go. Tweet. I'm going to go drop that on Facebook and force my family to watch so I can get an extra 1 viewer. Hey, man, I'm shameless. I'll promote myself everywhere. All right, here we go. Post. We're live. Dude, did you see they like changed Facebook?
Yeah, and it's really kind of bugging me because it's made my job hard.
Yeah, I can't find it, dude. I can't find anything. Literally, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, it kind of looks like they tried to make it like Instagram and TikTok, like mashed together. It's weird.
I mean, I say this with every change that they've done, but it's annoying, and especially because like I manage a Facebook group, I manage a company page, and yeah.
Barnacules Nerdgasm said we're live on TechTalk.
Tied it up, and I can't find anything.
All right, there we go. I spammed all the usual places, so that should get us at least 4 more viewers. And just remember, every time you tweet us out to your audience and they come and watch the stream, you win a brand new Porsche 911 Turbo S with nitrous. Except for you're only eligible if you live in my house. I think that's fair. Bro, I'm gonna get you some Afrin is what I'm gonna do.
I know I should have took my sinus pills.
Dude, you still can if you want to. You want to go take them for free? All right, cool. I'm gonna go take a piss too.
All right, woo! Me too.
All right. Woo! Okay. I think we were
talking to the cat.
Oh, were you? Oh, did you hear me talking to the cat?
No, just somebody was.
Oh, that's hilarious. I was like outside my door going, I need to go to work so I can buy you some kibbles. I didn't realize my microphone was that sensitive. Now I'm all embarrassed. We can't do this anymore. All right, let's see. Zip your fly. I don't have a fly, Brian. I wear pajama pants, man, because that's my signature, and it's because I'm fat, so a little bit of both. Okay, I think I've got most of our T's and D's crossed. Let's see here. All right, cool. So I got it spammed everywhere. Looks like you did the retweets. I think we are golden. Let me check my dashboard here really quick. That's still not reporting anything useful, so I'm going to close it and open up the other dashboard. The one that does give us useful information, like that Cat R super chatted $5 last week and we missed it.
No way.
Yep.
Oh man, we're sorry about that.
Yep. Actually, there's a bunch of people from last week, like Victor. Victor, think you're the $5.
If you're here, you know, yeah.
And let's see. Okay, and we got everybody else. Let me click them to cancel them out though, so I don't get confused. The nice thing is, like, I hate Streamlabs OBS, like, you know, because obviously the crap they did.
Yeah.
But I do like the little mini feed in it.
Oh, right.
So that's kind of cool for YouTube. That's like helpful.
Yeah.
You don't have to like have a separate window open, like connected to a different web page. Kind of cool.
Do you happen to use the live plugin for basically Stream Elements version of OBS?
Let's see. Yes, I think I do. Though, yeah, because it gives you a little side thing for like music cue and the chat, right?
Well, I have mine set up with I have stream information up in the upper left corner. That's where I can change the title and the go live notification, all that stuff.
You're gonna have to send me a picture of your layout.
Oh, sure. I'll do that right now.
I don't see it. How you doing, Miss Liz? Welcome to the channel. If you guys are just joining us, we're going to get started here in about 3 minutes. We're just doing a little pre-show today to give us time to kind of, you know, fiddly fuck around with the stuff and get it working. Because we want to make sure that like our super chatters and stuff actually get like some kind of an animation on the screen instead of jipping them like we usually do.
And I think I can just paste this into our Skype chat.
Oh crap! I said jip, dude. I'm gonna get canceled.
Oh,
isn't that on the bad word list now?
Yeah, man. I was shocked. I was shocked when I was told that was like culturally insensitive. I had never made the connection between like, oh man, that's such jip, and like gypsies.
Yeah, I never made that connection either.
and like, oh, you know, once it was pointed out to me, I was like, okay, yeah, I get where maybe like the root of that word.
Yeah,
but. Man, has anybody ever really thought about like, oh man, fuck them gypsies?
No, I actually like gypsies. Dude, I'm pro gypsy. I wish I was one of them.
Yeah, I could see where someone might get a little bent out of shape.
Yeah. Well, if we ever say anything insensitive, just let us know, and we will eliminate every single word from our lexicon upon request. Oh, you missed that, didn't you? I said if we say anything that's insensitive, just let us know and we'll remove that word from our lexicon forever. So pretty soon we won't even be able to talk. The whole stream will just be like, all right. Oh shit, I gotta get your links open. Here, where'd you send them, in Discord? In Discord, your gourd? Okay, here, so there we go. Nuclear reactor, engage. By the way, if you guys did not know, AuxxZillary here picks the weekly topics more often than not.
Yeah.
So he is our resident researcher for coming up with topics to talk about on the show. So if you enjoy the topics, let him know.
We do try to take a lot from as much as possible. When you guys link us stuff on Twitter and whatnot, like one of our topics was actually I think was originally shared with Joel, the 3D printing nerd.
Yep.
I happen to remember and brought it in this week. And then one of the other ones was directly we were tagged for that one too. So two out of the 3 topics today were crowdsourced.
Yeah, look at that. The system works. All right, here I'm gonna minimize your mug since I don't need to see it over here.
Yeah.
And we are at 15 past the hour, so it's time to get this party started. Cool. Who's ready? We'll get some noise. We'll get some noise in chat, like bash on your keyboards and
emote spam.
Amazon, order sex lube. There you go. Okay, we did it. That always gets at least like 50 people. All right, I think we're good to go, bro. I got my topics up, everything. And I think our nice little elevator music allowed people to come in here and settle in. So I have no idea how many people are in here, though. Like, it doesn't say in my analytics thing here.
What the hell?
Oh, no, it says 288. Okay, no, there's people in here. All right, did everybody go and invite everybody? Because we can't start the show unless every single person in here retweeted the URL. I'll believe you. You guys can tell me. I'll believe you. Okay. All right. Well, okay. Let's. I believe him. Do you believe him? AuxxZillary. Do you believe them that they all tweeted it out and they all did exactly what we told them to with no exceptions?
I think some of them did. Yeah.
I was gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. All right, let's see if this works. Okay, switching to face now. Bam. Bam. Oh, you motherfucker. Now the stream deck's saying it's disconnected. Okay, never mind. We're gonna have to do this the old school way. There we go. Ba-doom. Ba-blow. Kapow.
What's up?
Okay, so hold on. I gotta disable the fireworks. The fireworks aren't supposed to be there yet. Okay, let's kill the music. All right, music is killed. All information is up. All right, I think we are good to go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to 7-Eleven. Yeah, today's 7-Eleven. Like the little 7-Eleven.
Free Slurpees today.
Oh, you can get a free Slurpee? Really?
Yeah. 7-Eleven, they do that shit all the time, every year.
I'm gonna have to venture into old Redmond's and get me a Slurp.
Might not happen because of the virus stuff.
No, it's always something like that, though, isn't it? Well, welcome to Tech Talk episode. I already forgot what episode is it.
Why are people saying I'm echoing?
Oh,
it was fine before we switched the scene. What happened?
Hold on, I'll fix it. Here, keep talking.
I'm gonna keep talking.
All right, I fixed it.
Okay.
What happens for some reason in Streamlabs OBS is, which we still need to get away from using, but I have to redo my whole stream elements because of a stupid bug that I'll talk about and tell you about here in a second. But basically what happens is as soon as I start the stream live, it adds a whole bunch of NDI audio streams to the mixer list. And so you become the desktop audio and you have your own private feed out of Skype.
Aha.
So what I want to do when I have a little bit more time to sit down and configure this, like I was supposed to do Thursday before I totally bailed on you. Sorry about that. What I need to do is go in and configure it so that I use the NDI stream for your audio, and then I pull you out of the desktop audio. And then what I can do with that is I can set it to monitor it here, so I can still hear your audio coming through and mixing with the board, but then I have the desktop audio separate, so I can like mute it and change the volume without changing you.
I see.
Because right now, if I like turn down the desktop audio, I turn you down too.
Right.
So you're bound together. So I want to unbind you so that we can get that all figured out. Hey, Andreas SSG, thank you for the 50 sexes. He said, have some more sexes. We love all those sexes. I have no idea what sexes are worth, but 50 sexes sounds like a lot of sexes, and I like that. We're stream settings. I want to try to get on the page.
It's about $5.
Is it really? 50, damn, son.
50 Swedish kroner. It's about $5.50.
Ooh, Swedish kroner, man. That sounds awesome. Well, Miss Barnacules asked me if I tried pressing enter. Honey, no. I always try pressing enter. It's the first thing I try. Because the best way to do things is to always find the button and push it. Trust me, guys.
Amateur.
Totally amateur hour. All right, so I think this is working. Mini feed is working. Did a notification pop up on the screen? Did you see if it did or not?
No. I wasn't looking.
I heard noises.
Yep, there it is. Super chat. Nick donated $5. Got to do a tech question.
Yes.
Are Western Digital NVMe drives decent? I'm a Samsung Ho when it comes to SSDs, but a 500 gigabyte Western Digital NVMe drive for $70 seems like it. I would say yes. I don't have personal experience with the Western Digital NVMe drives, but I know that they. I have heard good things.
I have not tried them.
The blues, I think they come under the Western Digital Blue category.
That sounds right. I think they have a couple different couple different labels of the SSDs, but Western Digital makes good drives. I mean, they literally bought out HSGT or whatever, the other hard drive manufacturer. Yeah. And they stopped making the WD Greens, which were literally the only real shitty product they made, and they discontinued that. So I would say they're probably just fine, but I'd look at the stats. Look at the stats. Because one thing you don't want to get is like if it's an SSD that's only got a read write of like 500 megasecond or something like that, like the first generation things, like avoid it like the plague.
I mean, and then there's talk. Okay, Western Digital has dodgy decision making right now, can't be trusted because they got caught like mislabeling drives. I can't remember exactly the details of it all, but I remember
we talked about that yesterday.
They were selling drives that were labeled wrong with like the wrong, I don't know,
the
memory
layout on the
controller
disc
or something, or there was something funky about them, and they got caught, and now they've fixed it by relabeling things.
Yeah, it was SMR versus CMR.
Holy cow! Emil Emot with 200 sec. Thank you. That's a lot.
Oh damn!
That's like $20. Thank you very much.
We got two people in here with sex.
Thanks,
Jeez, man, we're just like we're merging the world here,
dude. I like Emil's little profile picture there. He's got like a snow leopard furry head on. It's pretty neat. It looks good though. Like,
dude, I like furries. I don't know why furries get a hard time.
That looks good job, man. Whoever that looks like a very quality head. That's good stuff.
Actually, that's a good little question that I have is why do people like give furries such a hard time? Like, what's the deal with that? Because I think furries are awesome.
Why do people give anybody a hard time?
That's. I mean, yeah, you got me there.
Because they hurt, man. And some part of their life sucks big floppy wangles.
Yeah.
And they have no other recourse but to try and tear other people down.
Why you gotta be so mean? So just to answer your guys' question on Western Digital, they got in trouble because they had two discs that looked absolutely identical that they didn't put any obvious markings on to indicate whether they were SMR or CMR drives. It has to do with like how the magnetic recording technology works on the disc. And apparently CMR is like the epic shit and SMR is shit. So you want CMR, not SMR, and people are getting a mixed match of these drives. And the biggest problem was the SMR drives. When you enable ZFS pools on them, they just like drop down to like no performance, almost like they're dead. And so Linus did a video on this. I think it was called like Western Digital's in Trouble. And I watched it a while back, and I do remember that there was, I mean, it wasn't a slight performance issue. It was like the difference between like doing something in like a couple of minutes or 9 hours.
Wow.
Like it was really, really bad. So just make damn sure that if you're buying Western Digital drives or any drive for that matter, that you look for CMR somewhere on the packaging. If it says SMR, just like put it back down and don't fuck with it. Unless the only time the SMR is okay is if you're not using ZFS and it's a standalone drive, it's not joining a RAID or a pool or anything, and you're just using it like on your computer as like your primary drive, and you don't really care about like top of the line performance, it does okay in that application, and it did for a long time. It's just CMR is radically superior to it in pretty much every way. So keep an eye out for that. But there is a price difference, and I think what was confusing people and why Western Digital is getting sued is because people were buying the SMR drives because they were so much cheaper than the CMR drives, even though the packaging and everything all looked the same. The drives looked the same. You literally had to like look at a serial number to like figure out like one letter to see if it was SMR or CMR. It wasn't advertised like on the box what technology was being used. And so that wouldn't have been a problem if Western Digital only made one or the other, but the fact that they made two completely different products that looked exactly the same, marketed the same, in the same box, just caused a massive confusion. I think Linus actually ended up getting a mismatch. That's what started the whole thing, and he made the videos. Linus, like, you know, I bought 5 drives, open them up, and it's like 2 of them are SMR and the other ones are CMR. And it's like, but they all look absolutely identical otherwise. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at it. Make damn sure if you're buying Western Digital spinning discs, this doesn't apply to SSD. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be saying a lot of things wrong this morning. I slept the whole 5 hours. It just makes the show more interesting. Oh, hey, Pup Shepherd. Sup, dude? Thank you for the $5 tip. He said, wags. Try both being a furry and a pup. Pup Shepherd, I didn't know what being a pup was until I went and looked at your Twitter profile. And I'm going to say, though it's not my thing, it was wildly interesting. And I will not challenge anybody to go look at your Twitter because, you know, if that's just, some people might get PTSD from it. But I found it interesting. We'll leave it at that. Pup Shepherd likes to do the whole like furry, but replace the fur with latex and do what pups do.
Man, look, whatever. Do your thing, man. It doesn't hurt me,
dude. If you're not hurting anybody else, and it's all consensual. You do what you want, man. Like,
it's awesome.
Me personally, I mean, I want to dress up as like a silverback gorilla. And,
do it.
You know, is that a thing? Like, is that a furry, or would I have to create my own class, like Silverback Gorilla Fest? Because I've never been able to grow much hair because, you know, I'm like, I got low testosterone, I got the low T. So I was like, man, I want to put on a silverback gorilla suit and make some interesting videos. Just interesting, nothing crazy, just interesting. Hey, 88 Ford, like, oh, by the way, for the ML for that 200 sexes, I'm going to give you some fireworks, but we got to do that. We didn't put in sound effects yet, so we got to do them ourselves. Okay. So 3, 2, 1. There you go. Okay, that actually worked out well. Nick, hopefully that answered your question. 88 Ford for life. What is up, my man? Thank you for that $5 super chat. He said, hi, Jerry, local in Puyallup, here watching. Thanks for the content, gents. Well, thank you so much. You're actually closer to old Huey Lewis than you are to me. So I think you're kind of close to Puyallup somewhat, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's closer
than me
than I am. Yeah.
Yeah, so Puget Systems is in Auburn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, okay. I like Auburn, actually. Auburn's a nice place. If you haven't visited, it's a nice place. Just be careful. Like, if you pull up to a place that doesn't have a lot of cameras and stuff, just lock your doors and just don't get out. Like, there's some shady places in Auburn, too. Mainly because don't they have, like, a horse racing track or something?
Yeah, Emerald Downs.
Yeah, I've never been.
It's pretty cool.
I've never been. We should go sometime when COVID's no longer killing us all.
Yeah.
Let's see. Scrolling on through here, there was something earlier that I wanted to talk about, and I kind of like went off track a little bit, and I lost it. What was it? This is gonna happen a lot today, like I said. Right. So, come on, brain. Maybe if I feed it some more coffee. I'm gonna drink some more Death Wish here. Not sponsored by him. I wish I was though, Death Wish, if you're listening.
Right.
Wait, it still says 4th of July. Oh crap, it does.
Yep.
I need to fix that, bro. I need to fix that. So what should it say?
7-Eleven was an inside job.
Oh my god. Oh, we're bad. We're going to internet hell now. All right. There is such a thing, by the way, too, if you're ever wondering. All right, let me center this up. All right, does that look okay? Let's see. 7-Eleven was an inside job. And there goes half our viewers. Okay, well, we can say happy 11th of July. I like that. It's happy because every day should be a happy day. I think that we have too many sad days these days. We need to have more happy days.
Honest to goodness, though, yeah, I think we all can make a bit of an effort to not to be sappy or anything. Honest to goodness, but like everybody can do a little bit to spread more positivity. You know.
Yeah. I mean, in translation, we all should take a summer's eve douche and wash some of that sand out of our manginas just for the day. Except for the lady folks, you don't have a mangina, so just do it regularly.
Practice a bit of empathy, man. You don't know what people go on outside of the slice that you see of their lives, and like, man, just think about it. Everybody's got their shit going on, and it ain't right for you to pile on. That's our PSA fucking after school special for the show.
There you go. Today's PSA. The more you know. G.I. Joe. Yeah. No, just be nice to each other. Geez, for one day. And I know I'm a total hypocrite because I have days where I'm just shooting sand out of my mangina at like Falcon 9 rocket speeds. But you know what happens? God damn it, stop yawning. You're going to make me yawn.
I'm tired, man.
Type in chat if you yawn. Whoa, Ronnie, boy. We need to get some fireworks for Ronnie. Ready?
Thank
3, 2, 1.
Ron Marish. Oh, it works.
It does. It totally does.
I love it.
Oh my God, Ron, thank you so much for that $10. That is super nice. Yeah, and wow, he didn't even like ask any question or anything. He's just like screw it. I want to be up in the live chat for like 20 minutes.
So this comment got hidden, but I love I got a tickle out of this. It's funny. I'm not gonna say their name, but because it got hidden. But it says you've all lost my respect calling a PP a mensch. That's what got me. Calling a PP a mensch. I know you are a degenerate.
I'm unsubbing. I see it.
And I'm unsubbing. Oh, I'm sorry. That was fun. That was good. Thank you for that.
That was actually pretty good. Well, hey, I happen to be a firm believer. Actually, I don't even think that comment should have been hidden because that's pretty funny. Like, it's clear he was joking, right? I don't think anybody would say that seriously. If you were being serious, whoever you are, please let us know because like that would be even more hilarious than what you said. But the way I see it is PPs are just inside out vaginas. So it's the direction they point, inward or outward. That's it. That's it, right? There's 2 ovaries, 2 balls. I'm just saying this is biology. We should be learning this in school. It's a directional thing. It's like we point true north and women point south, or actually they point north, we point south. I think that's how it works. I think that's fair. Hey, Alan, my man. Thank you for the 40 rupadoops. He said Rasputin had a long beard too.
Yeah, Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen. Right?
Is that Rasputin? It sounds familiar. It's a name I know, but like, what's the story behind Rasputin? Since you know all these weird facts, dude, you seem to know things that nobody else does. So let's flex that a little bit.
So during, I want to say it was still during their their monarchist era. I think I want to say toward the end of it, actually.
You realize Putin's still in power, right?
Right. So before that,
gotcha.
While it was still the Russian Empire, Rasputin, turns out he was actually kind of a weird bum. He was kind of a nameless sort. Really? Somehow or another worked his way into the like upper crust of Russian high society via so kind of culty, like religious sort of twisty stuff like that. But there's all kinds of cool rumors surrounding the guy. Yeah, there we go. In late 1906, Rasputin began acting as a healer for the only son of Tsar Nicholas II, Alexei, who suffered from hemophilia. He was a divisive figure at court, seen by some Russians as a mystic, visionary, and prophet, and by others as a religious charlatan. So he ended up getting really close with the Russian queen or empress. And there's rumors that says like, oh, there's all kinds of weird like orgy cult stuff, and like that he was, in with the like a lover of the Russian queen, right? That's why the song goes that way. There's some occult attachments to Rasputin in that as well, that like he was incredibly difficult to kill in the end, that like they poisoned him, stabbed him, shot him, beat him up, like 6-7 people beat him with clubs and stuff. They drowned him, and he was just like very yeah.
Wow. Okay. He has a cool first name though, Grigory. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I would not screw with a guy named Grigory Yefimovich Rasputin.
Yeah. Really cool history of that guy, because he literally he was like a nobody, poor person.
Yeah, it says here, he was born a peasant in Siberian village of Pokrovsky.
Yeah, and like
I can't even pronounce it.
Apparently, he had a quite the large weenus, which is displayed in a museum in Russia.
No, are you serious?
Apparently, planning business is claiming this.
Do you think we'll do the same thing with Ron Jeremy someday? like in the Louvre, you'll be walking along and be like, oh, and this is Starry Night, and next to Starry Night is Preserved Wang. That seems like a weird thing to preserve, though. Like.
Yeah, that's
like I know that some cultures will like like the Egyptians, right? They'd embalm bodies and stuff like that and wrap them up and put those on display. And I know that in North Korea, all their leaders are like in nitrogen-filled glass boxes, on display because they're doing their forever sleep thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like I'm surprised you didn't know that. Yeah, in North Korea, when one of their leaders dies, they stick them in a glass box, basically pump out all of the oxygen, and just put them on display. Anybody can just go there and just like walk through and look at them, like, and they surround them and make them look really comfortable and everything like that. But they slow down the deterioration, and just like they're on display. And the way they figure is that they're not dead. They're just, they're having a long rest. And that someday they're all going to like just wake up and go like total zombie and start like eating the people. Or something like that. But it's kind of interesting that they choose to do that. Because I know that some cultures will do like a parade. They'll parade the body around. Sure. So that like everybody can see it. Like I know if a pope dies, they usually like send them on the pope circuit. But eventually, I think they bury him. But there's some cultures that don't. Some cultures like God, I can't remember. I was watching Discovery Channel, and there was an Aborigine tribe that when their elderly die, I think it's just their elderly though. I don't think it's like if kids die from tragedy. It's like if you die from old age or whatever, they basically just like wrap you up in a bunch of vestments and then like stick you in bed and then like live with you in the house for like years.
Wow.
And then after they live with you for like a couple of years and they like give you food offerings and things like that, then the whole community comes together, picks a date, and then goes out and does like a mass burial, like where they bury everybody and celebrate. But It's like, could you imagine that? Like somebody dies, you just wrap them up in a bunch of blankets and like just throw them in bed and talk to them like they're a normal person and act like they never went away. I can't remember which culture it was, but it was pretty interesting to see. And the guy that was there documenting it all said that like it didn't smell bad or anything. Like the way that they wrapped them and the way that they prepared the bodies and everything like that. They're like, yeah, there was no bad smells or odors. There's no like crazy stuff. I don't know how they did it. Like they didn't really dive into the process of how they like preserve the bodies. But I was like, wouldn't that be weird? Like you just, hey grandma, how's it going? She's just wrapped in a bunch of blankets sitting on the couch. Like, what's going on? Oh my God, Alan, thank you for the 40 rupees again. So Rasputin did in fact have a beard. Your beard is actually more epic than Rasputin's though. I looked up his picture. Mm-hmm. You are kicking Rasputin's ass. Like I don't think anybody in here would argue that you have the more epic beard than Rasputin. It's fuller. Yeah. It's got more color variation to it. Mm-hmm. Your eyebrows are nice and big and poofy, so they like accent it. Yeah, dude, don't ever trim them eyebrows. 88 Ford, thank you for the $5. Said, listen to this man, wisdom in the beard. Yes. And Ron Marish, again, thank you for that $10 super chat.
Holy cow.
Wow, that really just happened? Okay, we need to do double fireworks. Okay, ready? Hold on. Where's the... Oh, I gotta find it. I gotta find the button. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, 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 pew. Oh my God, that was a good one, man. That was a good one.
Douglas Pocknet Jr., $50, man. My dudes, haven't caught y'all in a while. Got my first weekend off since COVID started. How y'all been?
You got your first week off since COVID. So you've been working this whole time as an essential worker?
Wow.
Hey, Dukes, if you don't mind us asking, what do you do? Like, you don't have to say exactly like where you work, but like what type of work do you do that was considered so essential that you haven't gotten a week off since right now? And also, how have you managed not to get the COVID being an essential worker? That's even more important. These are the questions we need answered. No, and thanks for the $50. Holy cow, man, means the world to us.
That's great. Thank you.
You literally funded half our show. We appreciate it so
Seriously.
much. Hey, Naota, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, hey guys, keep up the good work. Watching Tech Talk while preparing my computer and 3D printer for my upgrade live stream at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my alt channel. Ooh. Look at Naota just like slipping in that little advertisement. And by the way, we have absolutely no problems with that. If you guys super chat and you want to like promote your shit, knock yourself out. I'll read that stuff all day long. I don't care. And plus, it's 3D printing stuff, which is stuff people want from me. So, like, if you can't get it from me right now, might as well go get it from old Naota on his alt channel.
Yeah.
Nick said, haven't been off. I work for a DoD contractor. Oh. He's contracted for the old Department of Defense.
That's pretty cool.
The DOD. That's like, I've actually worked for a government contractor before. I don't know if I ever told you guys the story, but I actually worked as a contractor for Northrop Grumman for like a year.
Neat.
So
they make rockets and missiles.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't know that at the time though. Like I was like, I want to say I was about 17 years old, 17 and a half. I worked at Mothersburg Computers in Gorst, Washington. Yeah, that's a place. It's tiny. Yeah. And we get a guy that walks in a suit and he's like, we're going around getting bids to replace all of our computers in our Seattle office and, our Silverdale office, and which were, both kind of a ways away from us, but they were trying to get bids from all the local computer stores to see who could build them cheapest. And my boss literally like cut every single corner until we built, like, we literally were building computers that we were selling them for like $1,500 a pop, which still undercut the next cheapest guy on their list because they were basically pitting us all against each other. We won the bid, but we were literally like building these computers with, I want to say the motherboard brand was like something you've never heard of. It was like Epoch or something.
Wow.
Like, have you ever heard of an Epoch motherboard?
No.
It's like, dude, it's like straight up, like, they only sell them in like North America. It's like we were like importing that stuff from China, like in the gray market. And so we're building these PCs for them. Luckily, they actually worked out pretty well. I think over the course of building, it was about a year. I think we built about 250 PCs for them over the course of a year. And we maybe had like 3 of them come back for quality control issues. Like the rest were all good. So it ended up working out in our benefit. But I swear we were building these computers for like maybe $500 and selling them for like $1,500 to the government. So we were making like 200% profit on these machines. So that floated the store. Like the first 2 years that store was in business, like Northrop Grumman like kept it going. So if you happen to be in chat and you work for Northrop Grumman, you can't do anything about it because Motherboard Computers is out of business. They're long gone. So they took the money and ran. But they actually did. I figured we did a really good job. And the coolest part about the job was I got to go set up the computers. So I got a clearance at Northrop Grumman, not at their Seattle office, but at their office that's in like Bremerton, Seattle area. Bremerton or Silverdale. And I don't know if you're familiar with the area. It's over by the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard. Uh-huh. So Northrop Grumman keeps a close proximity to them because, of course, they're a military contractor. At the time, I still didn't understand that. But I got to go in their building and I got a security clearance. So I got to like walk around inside like the Men in Black building and like set up people's computers on their desk and like plug in monitors and keyboards and mice. And I felt really cool. It was like a cool feeling because normally I was just stuck in the back room building computers at this little mom and pop store. And now all of a sudden I'm like walking around and all these people, like I'm like building their computers and they're all super happy because they're getting a new shiny computer and they don't realize it's just full of like really substandard shitty hardware that's probably like uploading all their information to Taiwan. But that was an interesting job, dude. Was running around and building a lot of computers. I've built a lot of computers. Like no exaggeration. I have built over 2,000 computers in my life. So because when I worked at Mothersburg Computers, every single day I built at least one computer, and on busy days, the most I ever built was 20 computers. I built 20 computers, literally like lined them all up on my desk, like motherboard. See, or first I put the CPUs in the motherboard, memory in the motherboard, slap them all in the case, and I would do it like an assembly line process. And I'd get them in the boxes as fast as I could get them out, because we'd have these pre-sale computers that we'd build for like the holidays, and we were right next to a tavern. Oh my god, smartest business decision ever. If you were going to make a computer store, build it right next to a tavern, because drunk people like to just they can't drive home when they're drunk, right? Well, some of them do, but they shouldn't. So what they do is they just wander around like really pissed drunk. We used to get like drunks just wandering into our store And we literally sell them like a computer, a gaming monitor, joysticks, like everything. Like half our inventory probably was sold to drunk people that came out of the bar. And we'd always have them come back like the next day or two and be like, did I come in here and buy this? Like, oh yeah, you bought that. Could you guys help me get it set up? Like, I don't even know what this is. Like, is this a Mac? Like, because they would just come in and straight up be like, I want a computer. And my boss would be like, well, this is a computer. And they'd be like, is it a good computer? And he's like, hell yeah, it's a good computer.
Yes,
and he'd be like, I'll take one. so yeah, anyways, before the internet, there was still questionable salespeople. Good memories though. Some of it was good memories. As a matter of fact, that's where I met Jason, my friend who passed away a couple of years ago. Let's see. Aren't epochs? Wait, hold on. So Mr. Random Generator said, aren't epochs the embedded CPU motherboards that use in vending machines and fruit machines? It's entirely possible. All I remember is on the box, it was blue and it just said epoch in like the most generic font ever. And we'd buy a motherboard for like $25. And this is back when like the cheapest motherboard you could get for anything else was like $90 to $100. So less than half price. The other reason we sold epoch was, they did a consignment thing because they had a vendor in Redmond, Washington, of all places. I used to have to drive
Redmond.
Twice a month. I'd take the company vehicle, which was a jacked up Toyota truck that had a little 4-banger motor in it and like 38-inch Swamper wheels, so it'd only do like 45 miles an hour, like pinned to the floor. And I'd drive that in Seattle traffic, like 5 lanes down I-5, just pissing myself. I hated it. It was the worst part of the whole job. It was every 2 weeks I had to go do a run for inventory. And you'd literally drive to a warehouse, and you had to have a business license. It was just, they just distributed wholesale to businesses. And we'd pull up, you ordered everything in advance, you'd pull up to the loading dock, and they would load your truck. And everybody else would be pulling up with like, U-Hauls and shit and load them up. I'd be pulling up in like this busted ass old Toyota that's jacked up. They can only go 45 miles an hour and is louder than shit. And I'd pull up and they'd load up the whole back with stuff. But the cool thing about Epoch was, whatever we didn't sell, we could literally take back to that distribution center as long as it was sealed, and they would just give us a full refund for all of it. So it was like consignment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
So we'd go buy all the inventory, we'd take it to the store, and then whatever we didn't sell, we'd throw back into the truck every 2 weeks. If it was a product that was no longer interesting or it wasn't selling well, we just throw it all back in the truck, drive it back to the warehouse, they'd bleep it into the system, and then credit us back. So we only had to pay for the stuff that we actually sold, and that's one of the reasons why I think that computer store stuck around for so long. It was literally there for like 18 years. Yeah. And I mean, it was there my entire Microsoft career. Like, they didn't close their doors until after I left Microsoft. So nice. It's pretty wild that a mom and pop, and they out-survived everybody else. There was no other mom and pop computer stores in all of Kitsap County. They were the only ones left standing at the end. And it was because they did weird stuff like that. Like they had really good ties with the community. They build computers for basically everybody, like to their specification. Like towards the end, they actually did a really good job. It was in the beginning we were a little bit shady. But like we got in trouble from Microsoft for using the same Windows XP product key on like every computer we ever sold. And the worst part was we were even like charging them for a copy of Windows XP. And they'd like call up and be like, "Oh, I don't know what my product key is. I'm reinstalling my computer." And we just like read it off the wall to them over the phone. Like, okay, wow. The product key is, I mean, we all had them memorized. We typed them in so many times a day. We had all the keys, and then we got a cease and desist because we fired an irate employee who was stealing from the store, and he got mad. So he called Microsoft and told them what we were up to. And then Microsoft sent a C&D, and then after that, we had to start buying copies of Windows and selling them after that because we couldn't risk, litigation being such a small store. But it was kind of cool that Microsoft like gave us a C&D instead of suing us right out of the gate, because it was like, that would have been devastating for a little computer store like that. Our margins on most stuff was razor thin. Like the only thing we made money on was Northrop Grumman. And when a customer would come in drunk, we'd usually sell them a computer that was like way more than what anybody else would buy. I know, terrible practices, but if they brought it back the next day, we'd also give them their money back. So it was like we weren't like selling to them and be like, "Oh, tough shit," If they brought it back and it was sealed or whatever, we'd take it back. But a lot of them would come in and just want to know how to use it, and then we'd just sit out on the store floor and like give them a lesson and teach them how to use their computer. But I had a lot of good memories there. I think that was the thing that really kickstarted. That was the middle ground, going from like doing drywall to doing something actually in the IT industry, which then led directly to working at Microsoft. So that it was a cool stepping stone.
You said Microsoft. We lost the bet.
Oh shit, I did. God damn it, Trump. It's always that Trump guy. Wasn't that the other part of the bet?
Yep.
I don't think he ever agreed on terms though, right? So
no, we were supposed to make up our own terms.
Oh man. Well, now okay. The terms are we just lost and nothing else. Somebody challenged us not to say those two things, and I ruined it.
Not even in the chat.
I doubt it. Hey, Shickadance, what's up, my man? Thank you for the $5 super chat. Said just stopping by to say hi. So hi, guys. Well, hello, Shickadance. We love you, Shickadance. Michael Weezer said there was a computer store near me that Microsoft sued for using the same single key for Windows XP computers. I'm starting to think that was like a common theme with everybody.
Yeah.
Because what you were supposed to do back in those days is you'd buy a copy of Windows XP, and it would come with a CD, a thick manual, back in the days where they had thick manuals. And by thick, I mean like, not crazy, but it was a decently thick manual, and it had a holographic sticker that you were supposed to put on the PC. And once you put it on the PC, it was like void. If you tore it off, it would just void, and you couldn't read the number anymore. And that was the product key. And we'd usually put the product key on the cases, but we weren't doing that. We were just telling the customers like, yeah, if you need it reinstalled, just bring it back and we'll reinstall it for $60 or whatever. And 99.9% of them, that's what they did. They just bring it back in and we reinstall it. And like I said, we would have never got a C&D from Microsoft if we didn't basically we had an employee. He was a klepto. He was stealing stuff. We caught him a couple of times. We kind of honey trapped him or whatever and caught him red-handed. And so he got fired, and when he got fired, he's like, "This isn't the end of this, blah, 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 blah." And it was like 2 weeks later, we get like a C&D from Microsoft. It was pretty obvious He was the one that did it.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, thank you for the 5 poundaroos, man. Thank you for those $5 UK didgeridoos. He said, hey, Jerry and Ox, hope all is good with both of you. Just sending you your tip for a great show as always. Well, thank you, man. We always like the tip.
Yeah, thank you.
The tip is nice. The tip as well. Wait, look in Discord off topics for link to what? Oh, is there a link in off topic? Oh shit, let's go check. Let's see if there's anything interesting in here. Okay, so this is an Epoch. Oh wow, so Epoch does actually make like cassette motherboards. Well, we weren't using those ones, dude. We were using like these were actual. Let's see, that era would have been Pentium. Would it be Pentium? It was either, I think it was Pentium 2 was like the first types of computers that we were building. They were the Pentium 2. Because I remember that I built, when the Celeron 300A came out, that was like a big deal. We'd already been working there for like over a year when that dropped. So, and that's old. That's like literally like a Nintendo cartridge of a CPU. That's the era of CPUs where you literally plugged them into the motherboard like a cartridge, and they had like nice plastic external cases on the CPU. I kind of like that form factor. I'm sad that it went away. Like, I understand why they like went back to chips, just because it's cheaper, packaging's lower, the power, the VRMs and stuff are on the motherboard now versus on the cassette with the processor. But I miss the cassettes. Do you remember the old cassette processors? Were those around back in your computing days?
Cassette? What was it, like Pentium 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, Pentium 2 and
slotted in.
Yep, Pentium 2 and Pentium 3. Yeah, they looked like
I remember that.
like half height Nintendo cartridges. And they were just rectangular, and they had a plastic case on them and some design work. And I think Intel put a holographic sticker on them that would say like P2 or P3. They were really cool. Like, they were actually cool. And then the Celeron versions of the processors never had the cases on them. So like the Celeron version of the processor didn't have the fancy plastic case. So, it made it look cheaper, and people could look at your computer and be like, oh, that guy's got a Celeron. But it turned out the Celeron actually was higher performance than any of the CPUs that they were selling at the time. Because you could just overclock the ever-living crap out of it if it was a Malaysian processor. Who remembers that? Am I dating myself here?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, because so there was like 3 factories in the world that were manufacturing the Celeron 300A. I think it was like Taiwan, Malaysia, and I think maybe China. Or maybe the United States. I think here in the United States at the time, Intel was making processors here too. But I know that the Malaysian ones were what everybody was looking for. Like, when you bought a CPU, you'd literally just hope to get a Malaysian one. If you didn't, you'd mail it back and say something was wrong with it until they'd send you another one until you got a Malaysian CPU. Like, because the other ones couldn't do it. The other ones didn't overclock well. It was specifically the Malaysian CPUs, and I can't remember why. But it was so bad at one point because the Malaysian CPUs overclocked so much further than every other processor that stores were charging a premium. Like Newegg, I remember back in the day.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, Newegg was charging like an extra $100 for a Malaysian Celeron 300A. Like, you could say, I want to buy a Celeron 300A, but then they cherry pick out all the Malaysian ones and put them as a second thing. It's like, oh, buy the Malaysian 300A, guaranteed to 400 megahertz.
Wow.
And usually they'd go to 450 on air, so they would say 400 just to be safe. But yeah, you started seeing everybody cherry picking them. So, and then once that happened, that kind of was the downfall of the whole deal. Hey, Scott, what's up, my man? Thank you for that $4.99 super chat. Said, thanks for the great show. So here, that's just the tip. I forgot to click the button to make it hidden. We do appreciate that, though. We appreciate that. Did I get, hold on here. I think, did I miss Dave's? Oh, no, that was the tip for the show. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I'm not missing a whole bunch of stuff. Hey, Naota, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, I remember slot keys where you were able to put a slocketed Intel P3 processor into a slotted motherboard. I remember those. Basically, they took the card and it had a socket, a ZIF socket, and you'd put the CPU in the ZIF socket, and then slap it in. I do remember that.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so you could actually run a P3 processor on the what they call it? It was slot A, slot 1 and slot A. Slot 1 I think was Intel, and slot A was AMD's version of it, if I remember right. And the only reason that I remember any of this is when I worked at Microsoft, we literally had an Intel guy come to their building and go into the lab and rip apart an AMD CPU and or an AMD computer, and couldn't figure out why he couldn't get the Intel CPU in the socket. And we all laughed at him like hysterically. He was super embarrassed. He technically violated like a dozen NDAs and should have been fired, but nobody said anything. Because he literally, so think about it. He's Intel. He went into a protected lab where there's SDVs, like protected software development vehicles that the public is not supposed to know about. And as an Intel agent, he went in there and pulled down prototype AMD equipment, tore it apart, thinking that was the computer he was supposed to fix and upgrade the processor in. And he couldn't get the processor to fit in the slot, and he was getting frustrated. And we went over and talked to him like, hey, what's up? Because it was obvious he's getting frustrated. And he's like, I'm like, dude, you know that's the AMD system. And he's like, oh. And he's got like the whole thing just like piecemealed out on the thing. So we put it back together, shoved it back, grabbed the right one down, pulled it down for him. And we were like, did he do that on purpose? Was that espionage? Like, did he come in there and accidentally open the wrong computer and like tear it all apart and take pictures of everything because it was a software development vehicle? I mean, probably not. I'm sure there's other ways they could have got a hold of that info. But he seemed pretty embarrassed by the whole thing. I still know the guy today too, by the way. If he's watching the stream right now, I'm sure he's blushing, but it was just funny to see somebody from Intel. Like, this is the dude they send around to actually like fix their computers when they're offline in labs and to do hacks. Cause sometimes they'd solder wires to the motherboard and add resistors and stuff just to fix like weird single bit issues, because this is all prototype hardware. And sure. This is the guy that's supposed to come in with like a soldering iron and do like low level stuff to the motherboard. And it's like, he literally grabbed they look similar. That's the only thing I'll give him, is they both were in a very generic looking case. But it was just funny that he literally ripped apart an AMD computer and tore it down to its bits, including removing its CPU, and still didn't figure out it was Intel. It wasn't Intel.
Amateurs.
Let's see here. Oh, wait, hold on here. It's funny whenever you're on Twitter and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna start banning assholes. You get like 100 people messages like, I'm sorry, I was being for an asshole. It's like, dude, it wasn't you. It wasn't you.
Hey, man, if the shoe fits.
I like jokes. I just don't like people that are. I'm just getting so tired of like the dumb people. I don't mind the smart people that have like funny jokes. I'm just getting mad at the dumb people that it's not a joke, but it should be. Right. Hey, Naota, thank you the $5 the $5 tip. And yeah, those slockets. If I remember right, they had the little bar, right, that you had to pull down to like tension the pins. And you were very limited in what heat sinks you could use, because I think you still had to use the socketed heat sink or something like that, or maybe it was too thick. You couldn't use the socketed heat sink. But I remember that they were kind of popular, but I never personally used one.
Yeah, same. I skipped right over that.
Yeah, I went straight from like Celeron 300A, I think, to P3 ZIF socket. Alan BR, what did I have? I was a P3. So I had a Celeron 300A, and I'm trying to remember what I went from that. Did P3 go up to 1 gigahertz? Where did P3 top out at?
Whoa, you went super skippy for a second there.
Oh, did I? Oops. Here, I want to see here. P3 max performance.
Yeah.
Wait, am I still dorking about here?
Oh, it's funny.
That still says excellent connection over here.
Now. It seems okay. No, I think it's just the call itself. It was like,
oh, okay.
for a second. That was weird.
Oops. Here, what was the fastest Pentium 3? Oh, 1.2 gigahertz. Okay. So I think I had I want to say I had a 1 or a 1.2 gigahertz P3. Because I kind of joined P3 late in the game. I didn't join P3 when they first started. I got in late at the game. And then when I got my first P4, that was, oh god, I'm trying to remember. Was it a first generation P4 running at I think 2.4 gigahertz? I want to say is the one that I have. I got to go back through my list. I have a list somewhere of all the generations of computers that I had, and a lot of them were just minor upgrades. Like I didn't use the Slocket, but it was like I never did like full brand new computer builds. I would always carry over a bunch of parts from the previous computer. So all the way up until I built my i920, which was that would have been Pentium. That would have been P4, right? So the i960, that would have been pre-Sandy Bridge.
Idea.
Let me see. Processor i960. That was the Let's see here. Intel i960. What generation is that? It doesn't say. Oh, here we go. Okay, so the i960 was a RISC-based microprocessor. No, it wasn't i960. It was an i920. Sorry, i920 processor. I want to see what the specs are.
That goes pretty far back.
No, that was the i7. Okay, so that was the i7 920 at 2.66 gigahertz, and you could overclock the ever living crap out of it. I want to say I ran it at like 4.5 on air forever, and then I tried to push it to 5 and ended up like killing it. Over a long period of time. It worked for a very long time, but I do remember that was the big jump that I made. I kept like my slow ass computer for a really, really long time, and then I just like completely went overboard and like splurged and built something that was like insane. Let's see, what do we got here? Dave, thank you for the 5 pound ruse there. He said, regretting not waiting for Ryzen as I'm still running an FX 8350 32 gig RAM and an R9 Nano. But if it ain't broke and it runs good, I'm not going to change it. As long as it does what you want it to do, I've never seen a reason to upgrade.
Yeah.
There isn't. Like, it's if it does what you want and it plays the things that you want and it's acceptable, like, don't upgrade because you'll be so disappointed in, like, the end result. The only time that I'll upgrade is if there's a game or an application or something like that that's getting to the point where it's just after generations of upgrades or it's something new that comes out that I can't play it at, like, an acceptable graphics level.
Yeah.
And like if I get to that point where it's like it's chugging and it's running under 60 frames per second, then my first thing is, okay, I'll upgrade my GPU. And then I'll do a little bit more research and I'll be like, okay, well now Adobe's running like slow. There's a lot of places where it's like slow load, and okay, now I need an SSD. Okay. Oh, there's other things that are a problem. Okay, how can I feel? Do I need a new motherboard? Do I need to go to a new architecture, new chipset? All those decisions are made just based on the software that I'm running. But that wasn't always the case. That's how I operate today. I used to be like bleeding edge, like just chase the dragon. And that never worked out well. That was just a huge waste of money. Like I built that 14 or what is it? 12? No, about 12. Was it 12? 12,000? About 12,000 for my water cooled Case Labs M2 build that I did. And back when I was working at Microsoft, and I just splurged on it. I got the best of everything. It was the best CPU at the time. The most memory that you could put in it, the multiple GPUs, and then I switched them over to liquid. So the liquid cooling setup was all expensive too. Radiators, 24. Even the fans were these 130 CFM Ultra Quasi fans that were like $20 some a fan. And I had so it was like this massive build. I put the whole thing together, and I'm running the benchmark, and it was like literally 20% faster than my previous rig I had built in an Antec 900. And I'm like, 20% isn't enough, like to justify that kind of cost.
No.
It's like if I'm going to upgrade, it better be like, 300%. You know, it's like I need something where it's just crazy, crazy fast. Let's see here. Also, the joy of building something amazing on shitty hardware is priceless. That actually is
true. Sure.
No, I agree with that. Especially like if you go to, I've been noticing a lot of people lately have been going to thrift stores and stuff like during this whole flu incident going around. They were actually going into these stores and finding way more computer stuff because it turns out that not a lot of people are going out to these shops as they're reopening. So like thrift stores now are like a gold mine.
Oh, I bet.
And so I was watching a YouTube video where a dude went in there and bought 2 rack mount servers that he paid like $20 a piece for, that were like, they were older rack mount servers, but even by today's standards, they're still like current. It's current generation stuff. He paid like $20 for like these rack mount servers because they didn't know how to plug them in or test them because they had 240 volt outlets and they didn't have those to plug them in.
Yeah.
So he bought those up like $20 a pop. He bought a laptop there that had a broken screen for like $35 that anybody would have scooped up because it was like, again, current generation hardware, had a broken screen. You could fix it or just plug it in and use it as a desktop computer. There's a lot of stuff out there now, but it's the stuff that usually gets cherry picked like the second that it hits the shelf.
Right.
But that's not happening now because not a lot of people are going out. And so the inventory is building up because a lot of these secondhand stores, they keep a lot of the stuff in the back, right? It's coming in and they keep it in the back. And then as inventory sells, they bring out more and they bring out more. But now because like nobody's going to the store, they're just cleaning everything up and bringing it all out in a desperate attempt to try to sell as much as humanly possible. So if you are in the market for buying like computers and gaming consoles and things like that, like retro stuff, go check out your secondhand stores, put on a mask and go venture out because people have been getting pretty damn lucky lately. And the other thing is if there's a price tag on it, I learned this. I wish I remembered the YouTube channel I was watching, but if there's a price tag on it, it goes without saying, like in a secondhand store, that if you talk to a manager or find a manager in the store, they can control the prices on all those things. So like if you see something that's ridiculous, like a TI 99 4A, like old computer, or like a Commodore 64 or something that's got like a $200 price tag on it, just talk to the manager and be like, show them your phone and be like, dude, these are going on eBay for like $20, and they'll be like, okay, price adjust here, take it, because they just want to move the inventory out and get it out of there and make some money off of it. So, and what they usually do is they'll just look stuff up on the internet, and whatever the first price is that pops up, they'll put on the item. Sometimes that works in your defense. The rest of the time it doesn't. Like sometimes the first thing that'll pop up on eBay is some dude that wants to sell his like pristine inbox Commodore 64 for like, $800. And so then they get one that's, they get one that's all stained up and beat to shit. And they're like, oh, we'll just make it $50 cheaper, and it doesn't work that way.
No, you gotta go look at the recent sold.
I've been tempted to do it myself, but I've got too much crap. Like that's one thing I can't afford to do right now is to accumulate any more of anything at the moment. So that's why I'm giving everybody else the advice. Go do it. Right. Let's see. Dave said, regretting not waiting on the rise and still running. Oh, we already read that one. The FX83. Why are you, he's regretting not waiting so he got the FX8350. So he's not on that new sexy 7 nanometer Ryzen that everybody's all getting worked up about.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Alan BR, thank you for the 40 rupees. He said, I keep doing super chat if I get drunk. Well, then by all means get drunk,
keep
sir.
Doing that. Everybody should take his advice.
Yeah, everybody should just be drunk watching YouTube. I mean, what else have we got to do?
Dave. Whoa, what was that?
Dave, thank you for the 2-poundaroos. He said, thumbs up for the great show. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. And if you guys have questions, of course, just tag us by name in chat. Billy B. Slayer said, Barnacules, watch the new LGR thrift episode. Goodwill has some outrageous prices in store on some junk electronics. I did see that, Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Billy, I do watch LGR. And and that's where I saw the $200 TI 99 4A.
Who was it that used to do those, like Junkyard Wars kind of things, but with tech stuff?
Oh, that was Linus.
It was Linus. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Junkyard Wars. Or no, was it Junkyard Wars? Or what do you call it? What was
it? Was I can't remember what he called it, but it was like they would have a certain budget and they would try and make the best computer they could with $200. Scrapyard Wars.
Scrapyard Wars. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That was cool. I'd have loved to do something like that, where you go dumpster diving behind office buildings or something.
Yeah, I was almost on it. I was in contention at one point to be on the show, but without going into too much detail, a certain somebody didn't want to work with me and didn't think I'd take it seriously, so I bowed out. Because who wants to do a thing when somebody else doesn't want to do something with you? It's like, okay, never mind. That's not fun anymore. At that point, it's just shit. So, and the funny thing is, it's not even supposed to be that competitive, right? I get the show is supposed to be competitive. It's supposed to be about having fun and having a good time, right? Right. So, and it just sucks all the fun out of it when somebody's just like ultra competitive like that. It's a cool show though. Are they still doing it or did they retire it? I mean, obviously with going on right now, I mean, I'd imagine that there's not a lot that they can do. However, I have been noticing, and this is a little concerning, but I have been noticing in a lot of the videos that I've been watching lately that there are a lot more YouTubers that are finally venturing out into the world.
Yeah.
Like for a long time, I saw the videos, they'd always start up and be like, oh, this was shot before the outbreak or something or blah, blah, blah. And now I'm seeing all these videos that are just like people congregating together, no masks, no social distancing, and just going to town. Like, I love Cletus McFarlane. I love his channel. I watched it forever. But like the events that they've been holding out at the Freedom Factory, they're getting bigger and bigger and more people out there and everybody's in proximity of each other. And I'm just like sitting here just like cringing like, oh man, this is a little powder keg about to go off. So, and it's not just them. I mean, I've noticed a lot of channels that are doing that now.
Well,
but the biggest thing is just if you go inside, wear a mask. Like indoors, like mask is like super duper mandatory because they figured out that the virus can suspend an air for up to 3 hours. So that's like if you haven't been keeping up on like, the progress from the WHO and the CDC, it is confirmed that this is now classified as an airborne virus, but only in a closed environment. In an open environment like outside, it just gets immediately dispersed. But indoors, it can hang at infectious levels for 3 hours. So somebody could come there that's infected and leave, and you could literally walk in there without a mask and breathe that within 3 hours and get sick from it. So wear a mask indoors, please. Wear a mask indoors. Hey, C. Mopar, what's up, my man? He said, I know they have talked about retiring it because at this point, it's the same thing each time. Oh, the Scrapyard Wars? I mean, it seems like a show where you could have enough variation where that wouldn't be the case, though. You just got to make sure you pick new people and you change up the rules and locations a little bit each time. I mean, hell, one of my all-time favorite shows on TV was Junkyard Wars, and that went on for how many seasons? And then there was like UK, there was like a UK and an American version. I can't remember there was a slight name difference, but it was the same exact format. And I love Junkyard Wars, and the whole premises of it was that everybody went to the same junkyard, and it's like, today we're going to be building boats, today we're going to be building cars, today we're going to be building motorcycles, today we're going to be building airplanes. Fun. You know, it was cool, it was legit, and they made, and I mean that went a really, really long time before it got old. So, as far as now we got enough people in here, why don't we get to the topic, sir? Would you like to do some topicking?
So this one's actually really cool. This is the one that, and I admit I didn't read up on this until, beforehand, but this is the one that was linked to Joel, the 3D printing nerd. So they figured out how to 3D print a nuclear reactor core. And so this is pretty cool. Here we'll paste the link to the Wired article. There's actually old news in a sense. This is actually big news back in May. And so it turns out that, let's see, a team of physicists, engineers, and computer scientists at Oak Ridge National Lab in Tennessee have designed and built the components for a gas-cooled nuclear reactor. It's a type of reactor that's almost as old as the nuclear age itself, but Oak Ridge's newest atom splitter has a distinctive 21st century twist. When it comes online in 2023, it will be the first nuclear reactor in the world with a 3D printed core. So that's pretty cool.
Let me see if I can bring up the video here really quick. Yeah. Let me see if I can work my magic here. Let's see. Okay, so I think this will work. Where's the transition button?
The video of this is wicked cool.
There you go. So this is the actual core. So this is going to contain the fuel rods,
rods and stuff. Yeah.
So you can see all those little holes around the helixes is going to be where the fuel pellets are dropped in. But yeah, this is completely 3D printed. Is a single part. And
isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's cool seeing the 3D print. You can see the heat because they're using like a thermal vision, so you can see how the heat is absorbing and dispersing throughout it. And you can see the sparks because it's literally sintering material. Like, I don't know. Does it say what material they're using? Like, is it graphite or?
Let me scrub through here real quick.
Because the thing is, go ahead.
The core will be entirely 3D printed out of silicon carbide, an extremely rugged material that is all but impossible to melt. Cylindrical core is a dull metallic silver with several irregular nonagon fuel assemblies arranged in its center. Yeah, that's
freaking cool is that?
Isn't that cool? Yeah,
that is pretty damn cool. So yeah, so in a nuclear reactor, I don't know, for those of you that don't understand how nuclear reactors work, they're basically just steam-driven turbines. That's all they are. And the nuclear fuel itself is just used to heat water. That's it. It's basically just a big kettle that you don't want to ever get too hot, because if it gets too hot, it'll flash off all the water into steam, and then it just burns. And that's what a meltdown is. It literally gets so hot that it will burn down through the ground. It'll literally create lava and just go down and down and down and down and down until it hits like a rock or a mineral deposit that it has a higher melting point than it can produce heat. But the way that they create these fuel bundles that go in, it's funny, they call them fuel bundles and they look like giant Presto logs. But literally what they're doing is they drop in these fuel assemblies, and all it is just a bunch of uranium that's formed into pellets, and it's surrounded by usually graphite. So I'm sure these like fuel assemblies, they probably drop graphite into them. They probably drop the fuel into them. And then these inside of the core, then they just basically bombard it with a certain type of radiation to get the reaction started. And once the reaction starts, then they basically just push and pull control rods, which absorb, neutrons? I think it's neutrons. They just push and pull rods in and out of it like the throttle on your car. It's like literally like the throttle butterfly. It's such simple technology that it's hilarious because the fuel is what's hard to manufacture. The reaction itself is not complicated. And what I mean by not complicated is like the first nuclear reactor, if you've ever watched like the Manhattan Project?
I think the movie?
No, what was the TV show called? There was a TV show that was like where they talked about creating the first nuclear bomb. I cannot remember the name of the show. So the very first nuclear reactor that was created for the purpose of generating the byproduct needed to make the nuclear bomb was hand driven. Like literally there was guys holding the graphite rods and pushing them in and pulling them out to throttle the reactor. So there was no motors like controlling the control rods. It was literally just a bunch of holes in a wall, like and dudes like pushing rods in and out of the reactor to control how hot it got.
Wow.
And then to shut it down, you would just shove all the rods in, because if all the rods are in, they absorb all the neutrons or whatever, or protons. I don't know which one it is. I haven't looked into it in a long time, but basically it absorbs it and slows down the reaction, because the reaction is, you know, these two things collide and you get 4 things, and then 8 things, and then it creates, you know, fission. You start getting heat. Yeah. And the way that you stop that is by putting sponges in that absorb them faster than they're being created. And when you do that, the reaction slows down, it cools down, and then it stops. It's like putting the brakes on. And so all a nuclear reactor is basically a fuel bundle that's bombarded to start the reaction. Then it starts to heat up on its own. It literally will just heat to the point of meltdown until it flashes off all the water around it, unless you push these rods in and out that control the reaction and how fast it can occur. But yeah, the very first nuclear reactor was literally just dudes looking at a temperature gauge and going, oh, shit's getting a little too hot. like they were literally... Like, if the dude, like, sprained his knee and had to, like, walk away to go put a Band-Aid on, it's like the reactor could just go critical.
Wow.
And, like, blow its top. And it's crazy, because what it'll do is it gets so hot. If you let the reactor run away, it'll get so hot that it'll flash off the water into hydrogen and oxygen. So it gets so hot that it doesn't just turn it to steam. It'll actually turn the steam it'll break it apart into its separate gases. Wow. And then when you have oxygen and hydrogen, it explodes, right? It becomes, and you've got an ignition source. So... nuclear reactors are actually, like, they're dangerous when you think about it, but they're stupid simple. Like you could literally build one like in your backyard.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. There's that kid who he had built his own. It was like, just look up nuclear Boy Scout.
Yeah, it's they call it a breeder reactor, where he used all all the thorium.
Smoke detectors.
Yeah, from the smoke detectors. Iridium. He used iridium. That's right. The glowy stuff. Yeah. It's on, like, claw cans and stuff like that. And he basically collected enough of it together that when he surrounded it by bricks and he put other reflective material inside, that the reaction very, very slowly grew. And it kept generating more and more heat to the point where he couldn't get close to it anymore. And he had to, like, call for help.
Like, the watchdog people noticed, like, he had created enough radiation in his background that the people who look out for that kind of stuff noticed and came. Yeah, it set off alarms or something. You know, they found it out. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I know they had to, like, clear, like, several blocks of houses and have dudes coming in bunny suits to, like, tear it apart. And then once they tear it apart, it dispersed. But there was a ton of contaminated material. His whole shed, parts of the yard, I mean, had to be excavated and everything. I remember it was hard to tear that thing down.
So, C. Mopar is talking about fission versus fusion. We haven't figured out fusion reactors yet.
Yeah, fusion is not attainable yet. Fusion
is what powers the atomic bomb. Is when fission is split, or no, I'm sorry, I messed that up. I'm sorry. Fusion is what powers the sun. Fission is what is breaking atoms apart. Fusion is smashing them together.
Correct. And we haven't been able to figure out how to do fusion sustainably.
Right.
Like, I know we can do it I know that there's what do they call them, plasma reactors or whatever, but they have to put in more power than they get out. So they're not efficient yet. Once they're 101% efficient, then we've got a sustained reaction. But right now they're nowhere close.
A cool thing about this reactor that they 3D printed is it's very small. They say it isn't much bigger than a beer keg, and when it comes online, it'll generate up to about 3 megawatts of power, enough to meet the energy needs of more than 1,000 average homes. And I remember years ago, there was talk about doing these small self-contained nuclear reactors for like developments and stuff. Like as a new home development for a couple hundred homes was being built, they would have their own self-contained little, like those green junction boxes that you see out in neighborhoods. It would be like that, but it would be your own little neighborhood nuclear reactor to power that neighborhood.
Yeah, I think those were.
That was a pretty cool idea.
I want to say that was a thorium salt reactor.
Yeah, the tennis ball ones, where, like, if they get out of hand, they just shut down. They don't, like, you have to keep feeding it to keep the reaction going. If anything goes wrong, it just stops. It won't actually melt down.
Yep. So thorium reactors are something else that they're working on right now. I mean, it works on paper. It's just one of those things where they have to get it to work properly in the lab. But with a thorium reactor, thorium salt can't vaporize. Like, to vaporize at the temperature would have to be well above anything a nuclear reaction could even produce. And so what happens is even if the reactor runs away and it gets like infinitely hot, the thorium salt will not expand and it will not blow out the containment vessel and it'll still disperse the heat. So even if the whole system fails and the control rods don't go in, it'll basically go critical, but then it just sits there. It just sits there at critical until somebody gets there and throws in the control rods. But thorium salt reactors or there's another salt reactor too that I've seen where they use what's it called? There's a liquid salt. It's like, I can't remember the name of it. There's another one where they actually don't use it as the fuel. Like in these, you actually use the thorium salt as the fuel. You have to keep feeding it in. Like you said, it's like a pellet stove. You have to keep giving it the fuel. It doesn't just run for 20 years off of one allotment of fuel. But then there's another one where it uses a conventional fuel, but then it surrounds itself with a liquid metal. It's a type of salt. It's a liquid salt.
Liquid thorium salt.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But they're supposed to be incredibly safe. Like one of the reasons they want to design one is because the biggest problem with nuclear reactors today, and they're safe. Like modern nuclear reactors are safe. Like Chernobyl was built like a piece of shit. Like we learned from that. Every nuclear reactor now is designed to fail in the shutdown state. So like if you look at a modern reactor, the old reactors, the fuel rods would come in through the side into the fuel bundle. Now they use gravity. They come in from the top and they're actually weighted, and they use the electricity generated from the turbines to hold the fuel rods up. And what happens if anything blows up, if the electricity is shut down to those motors, the fuel rods the control rods just drop into the fuel bundle and extinguish it. So think of it like, you're holding something up and it's like a dead man switch, right? It's like if somebody shoots you, you drop it, and if you drop it, then it turns off. And so by creating reactors that way, they're all really, really safe. Because you literally have to wedge that mechanism open. You'd have to purposefully damage that mechanism to cause an overload. And the other problem is water can turn to steam, and once it turns to steam, it's no longer effective at transmitting heat. So as a liquid, water is great for pulling heat off of stuff. That's why if you look at nuclear reactors, they're submerged in water. It blocks the radiation and it dissipates the heat. That's what you want. You want the heat in the water. But once you get the heat to a certain point, then the water transfers into a gas, and then beyond a gas, it gets what do they call it? Electrolysis breaks it apart, right? So you end up with gaseous oxygen and hydrogen, and everything explodes. Well, if you create a molten salt core where the heat is being pulled out of the nuclear reactor by a liquid salt, that liquid salt has such a high temperature that it needs to be to vaporize, that it's not a problem. Like the reactor going full tilt that's inside of it can't generate enough heat to actually vaporize that salt or cause it to expand. So because of that, it just basically it'll still overheat like crazy, but it's not going to like go critical and like explode and then just blow nuclear material all over the place. So, but as far as I understand it, the reason that those reactors aren't in use today is because they still haven't figured out like the perfect secret sauce is to make a reactor that can, because remember now they don't have water boiling. So they have to use the salt, the heat transferred into the liquid salt. They have to have a heat exchanger that then transfers the heat from the salt to the water so that the water still can be turned to steam to turn the turbines. So it ends up becoming a more complicated reactor. But it's a safer reactor, but it's more complicated and it's more expensive to build. And nuclear reactors, the reason you don't see like very many of them is because they never make their money back. I don't think a single nuclear reactor that's ever been built has made its money back. Because they're literally billions and billions and billions of dollars to build one nuclear reactor. And so the amount of electricity that they have to sell to break even and actually become profitable is like non-existent over the course of like 20 years. So that's why you don't see a lot of them build. People opt to build like natural gas. Hydroelectric is like some of the cheapest, but again, you're limited by your geography, right?
Right.
But like natural gas reactors. I was watching, I think it was Smarter Every Day. Was he the one that did the episode where he compares, I think it might have been him, Destin, but he compared nuclear reactor and its profitability, cost versus ROI, your return on investment, versus a natural gas power plant. The time to build the nuclear power plant is like 5 to 8 years. It's like ridiculous because the regulations and everything. The cost to build it is billions and billions of dollars. So over that 8 years you're building it, you're also spending, billions and billions of dollars. The gas plant can be built and online within 1 year. So it's making money after 1 year, whereas the nuclear power plant's like taking like 5 to 8 years to make money. And then the gas power plant literally costs in the tens of millions to build, whereas the nuclear power plant's in the billions. So then and you're selling the electricity for the same price. So when you look at the overhead and the return on investment, it's like the gas power plant like pays for itself and starts making a profit after like 5 years, whereas the nuclear power plant may not make a profit for 20 years, and the cost of nuclear fuel keeps going through the roof. So over that time, you have to factor that in, and if that creeps up faster than you're paying back of the loan to build the plant, it basically never becomes profitable. And in many cases, they just shut them off. Like in California, there's 2 nuclear reactors that were perfectly fine operational plants that were making power, and they completely shut them down because they were so cost ineffective. Like they literally were like, you know what, this power plant is actually makes us more money by just sitting here and rotting away than actually being turned on. And so that's why nuclear power is like, you don't see it in more places. It doesn't really have a lot to do with like the danger or the public perception of it, because it actually is incredibly safe now. Like everybody could just disappear out of a nuclear power plant, and the power plant's just going to run until something happens and then shut itself off. So they're super duper safe, but it's the cost. They're just so prohibitively expensive because manufacturing the nuclear fuel is stupid expensive. Power plants burn through it really quick too. That's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize. Like a nuclear sub needs to be like repowered like every 20 years. Like a nuclear submarine or an aircraft carrier, like
it's pretty good, man. 20 years,
right? Like that, and it's not a lot of fuel. Like if you look at the fuel bundles that they put into the reactor on a submarine, they're not that big. Like the physical amount of fuel that you're putting into that craft is like insignificant. Like if you compared it to the amount of diesel it burned, if it was a diesel burning craft, right? it would burn enough. It'd burn like literally enough to fill like a million swimming pools of diesel. It's going to burn over its like 50-year life, whereas being a nuclear submarine or a nuclear aircraft carrier, it's like 2 reactors that probably have a couple of 100 pounds of fuel in them, go for 20 years between refueling. So, wow. and it doesn't matter, like, I mean, it does matter how much they use it, right? Because the reaction is going to determine how radioactive the material becomes. And then once it hits a certain threshold and they can't shield against it anymore, that's when they throw it away, right? It's like it still has a lot of energy in it. Like when they refuel the submarines and stuff, the reason they're doing it is because it's just become way too contaminant. Like the more you run it, the more radiation it generates. So, but it still has a ton of energy potential. We just don't know how to use it because it'd be cost prohibitive to build a structure to eke that little bit more energy out of it. So we just toss it. We just throw it in kegs and bury it in the desert. So, let's see here. GTPC Gaming said, no, it was because the standards changed and the upgrades were too expensive. Well, yeah, no, but that's my point, though, is that the upgrades to the plants were too expensive to keep them online. Like, there was no way they keep them online. It was cost prohibitive. If it was a natural gas plant, it would have been cheap to make any kind of revisions or any kind of modifications to keep it going. Miss Liz said, didn't Fukushima almost do a Chernobyl? Well, technically, it did do a Chernobyl. Like, it wasn't quite on the same scale, but no, Fukushima did do a Chernobyl. It just wasn't as big. And what happened was Fukushima did not have a failsafe like most modern reactors do now. And they had backup generators to ensure that if power went down, the backup generators would push the control rods back in. And the backup generators got flooded by the seawater because the dipshit that designed the plant put the generators at sea level. So the generators that are supposed to like save the power plant from a tsunami were literally at ground level. So when the tsunami came in, the water hit the generators, took out the diesel generators, and then the diesel generators couldn't fire up to push the control rods back in, and that's why they lost it. So, but I do believe that I think they only lost one of I think there was like 4 reactors or 5 reactors. They only lost one of them, I think. So it wasn't quite as bad as Chernobyl because Chernobyl actually blew its top really freaking hard and had way more nuclear fuel in it than Fukushima. So the explosion was massive. I don't think Fukushima's explosion was like that massive. Although we still picked it up here in the States. I mean, it actually raised the background radiation of the entire planet. Did you see that?
No, that's crazy.
So Fukushima's reactor is still detectable today. Like wow. if you had a Geiger counter that was sensitive enough, you could go outside and the background radiation of the planet actually increased as a result of that explosion. So it's like, yeah, and Chernobyl, same thing, right? Chernobyl still hasn't gone away either. What are you smiling at?
Somebody clipped my lady sneaking in behind me last time. I finally was able to see the clip. It took a minute to get it sent.
Oh, you got to see the whole Mission Impossible crawling along the floor?
Sorry, yeah.
That was hilarious.
That was pretty cool.
Chuck Norris said, sure, it costs $1 billion to make a nuclear reactor, but it would say cost $10 billion to see if a thorium reactor would work. No one is unfortunately willing to invest. Well, I mean, they are building test thorium reactors. It's going to be a while before we ever see them in mainstream. They will be expensive though. They'll be prohibitively expensive, and they'll be built just as a proof of concept until the cost of materials come down. There is another reactor, and it's the holy grail. It's the fusion reactor is what we're after. And the way the fusion reactors work is that you have to basically sustain the reaction in plasma. Or basically,
the sun.
Yeah, and you have to use magnetic.
Little sun.
Yep, exactly. And so they've done it. If you look up fusion reactions, it is possible. They just can't be sustained. They're not self-sustaining yet.
I think the record for sustained fusion reaction was like 18 seconds.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It was under a minute. And but they think from all their estimates, they said that I think by 2024. They said that they would actually, they're expecting by that time to be able to refine the technology enough that they should be able to get it. Oh, what's the longest sustained reaction?
Steady progress has been made in fusion devices around the world. The Tor Supra tokamak.
Yep, that's France, the one I watched the video on.
Holds the record for the longest fusion duration or plasma duration time of any tokamak, 6 minutes 30 seconds.
I mean, that's huge, dude.
That's amazing.
That's huge. Actually,
yeah.
So the problem with a fusion reactor versus the fission reactors that we're used to is with a fusion reactor, you basically have like a gaseous plasma that keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter to the point where nothing can contain it. There's no material on Earth. Like even if you built the chamber out of diamond, it would just liquefy it. And so what you have to do is use magnetic confinement. So then you start getting into the Star Trek shit, right? It's like where Gene Roddenberry actually kind of knew what he was talking about when, he was sciencing up his show. Because the way that these things work is they basically have what would you call it, a toroid or the donut shape?
Yeah.
So you have a toroid and you accelerate the material, the electrons and the protons. You accelerate them as fast as you can in directions, almost like a little LHC, a little Large Hadron Collider. And then when you start the reaction, everything starts to heat up rapidly, like fusion. But you have to feed a lot of power into it. That's the thing with fusion is you have to hit it with a shitload of power to start the reaction. And then once the reaction happens and it starts sustaining, it starts heating up to the point where the only way to keep it from melting through the vessel and just destroying itself is you have to have really strong magnets to confine it, basically to hold the plasma in the middle of the tube so it can't touch. If that plasma touches the walls, it'll just vaporize it instantly. Yeah. So it has to be contained with magnets, but the problem is those magnets have to be so strong and they're drawing so much power that they actually draw more power than what the fusion reaction is creating right now. So it becomes a countdown. Once you kick it and you put the power into the system, the magnets can only hold the confinement for so long before it runs out of power, and then it loses its confinement, the plasma breaks up, and the reactor shuts down. So for it to be viable as a power source, it needs to generate enough surplus power that it can run the magnetic confinement, which means the magnetic confinement has to get a lot more efficient. But once it gets to the efficiency point where it's 101%, now it's generating,
it's self-sustaining.
Just 1% more than what the magnets need. You have yourself a power plant. I mean, it's not an efficient power plant, but you have yourself a power plant at that point.
And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. Once you it's like the 4-minute mile. It's like once you've done it, it's just going to get better.
Yep. The other thing, if I remember right, too, is to start a fusion reaction, the material necessary to start a fusion reaction, isn't required to sustain it. So, once the fusion reaction starts, it basically is drawing from its own environment the electrons and protons and neutrons and everything like that. The plasma is, basically generating itself from oxygen and
hydrogen.
It's very common fuel. Very common. You don't need crazy shit.
No, because, I think the idea is that the water used to cool the magnets can then be broken into hydrogen and oxygen via electrolysis. They feed the hydrogen back into the generator, which then of course creates helium and so on and blah blah blah, like the sun.
Dude, actually, being able to create helium would be a huge, awesome thing. Because that's the one thing we can't do. We can't without fusion, we can't make helium.
Yeah.
So, and helium is an element that we only have a finite amount of, and that's why it's going away. The problem with helium is it's such a light gas that every time it escapes the Earth's crust, where does it go? It goes up into the atmosphere and off gases into space. It just floats away. You don't get it back. So whereas oxygen and stuff is still heavy enough that very little of it escapes into space. Right, the weight of the oxygen actually holds it against Earth. That's why we have an atmosphere. Helium unfortunately just runs away. Helium's just fuck y'all, I'm out. And it just so we're using up all of our helium, and helium is incredibly useful and needed for just about everything. Helium is really important in science. Like liquid helium is what cools like all the electronics on like the Large Hadron Collider. They use liquid helium, I think, in systems on NASA uses it for like systems on like the space shuttle and stuff. Well, I don't know if they do anymore, but they used it for like like what is it, cryogenically cooling like certain components to get proper readings off, because you want to get something to like absolute zero. Like the closest to absolute zero you can get is liquid helium. There's some things that get close, but I'm still pretty sure that liquid helium is the coldest liquid on Earth. Like I don't think anything is colder than liquid helium that we know of. That may have changed in the last couple of years, though. But I know that's why, like the Large Hadron Collider uses it to cool the coil. Because once you get to a certain, I don't know the scientific name for it, but once you get to a certain amount of cold, basically it causes a weird it basically takes the magnetism out of metal.
Oh, shit.
So, or it actually doesn't take the magnetism, it like aligns the magnetism in something. You can change the magnetic properties of a metal by cooling it and heating it. But like by super cooling a metal, it does something really freaking weird. Like it aligns all the magnetic like energy in one direction. Like have you ever seen the hoverboard that Lexus built, the real hoverboard?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's on a track, and the way it works is you super cool it, and then it'll run along the track. It'll always follow the direction of the metal. And the metal itself doesn't have to be the track doesn't have to be super cooled, just the thing following it. But as soon as it's no longer super cooled, it just goes wibbly wonk and goes flying off. So, what's it called though? There's a name for it. Like when you cool something down to a certain point, it changes its magnetic properties. Same, or did you know when you superheat a metal, it loses its magnetic properties? I always thought that was really interesting. So it's like, how does that work with a fusion reactor? Like, does the plasma eventually get so freaking hot that you can't magnetically confine it anymore because it just loses any of its magnetic properties? Like, right. I don't know. Anneal? Supercritica? No, that doesn't sound right. Quantum locking? No, that doesn't sound right. Superconduction. That's exactly what it is, GTPC Gaming. Yeah, so superconductors. You always hear them talking about making superconductors that operate at room temperature. And a superconductor, I believe, is a material that has no resistance. So like if you want to push electrons through it, there's like no resistance at all, right? It's 100% efficient. But to do it, you have to cool it down to like, liquid helium temperatures. Jeez. To do it, so it's not efficient. But if you could create a superconductor at room temperature, that's like another holy grail. Because if you could do that, then you basically have created, an avenue to move electrons through with zero resistance. So you could literally build the craziest magnet in the world. I found your reactor you were looking for earlier. It's the liquid fluoride thorium reactor.
Ah, there you go.
That's the beer can reactor you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And so it says it uses a tank of liquid thorium salt surrounding the reactor, and then it absorbs the radiation. Oh, that's the other cool thing is like with water, you need a big column of it to absorb the radiation. With thorium salt, you need a very little. So you can make it much smaller. You don't need a giant, like Olympic-sized pool to get rid of the radiation. You just need a small vessel. Yeah. And it also said, and then the fuel is gradually fed into the core, and the fuel is just like gasoline. You have to continuously feed it into the reactor, but way more efficient, right? Like literally, we're talking like a drop of fuel. Like if you're driving a car, it'd be like a drop of fuel like every month. It's very little, but yeah, the fluoride, what is it? Liquid fluoride is what you drop in as the fuel, and I don't know if that sounds like it's something that's abundant. Right. I don't know why they're not using it though. I mean, it looks like this the science for it has gone back to like the 50s and 60s. Yet we still do not have, as far as I know, a fluoride reactor. Huh. Has anybody ever built one? I wonder.
Probably nobody wants to put the money into it.
Probably not. I think that's the biggest thing that stifles technology today. Is like, even though something would be better, like it may not make as much money, but it's clearly better for everything. Say it's better for the environment, it's better for humans. It's like the company is like, but we make more money doing it the bad way. Let's just keep doing it the bad way. Because they'd have to, shoot themselves in the foot a little bit to go to the new technology. And I feel like that's why, companies like General Motors and Ford and stuff avoided making electric cars until, Elon Musk basically forced them to, right? When he showed that there was because they had a really good electric vehicle back in like the early 90s. I forget what it was called. Oh, yeah. Chevy made like this EV1 or something. Yep, and like everybody had it. Like all the celebrities were driving around. They didn't sell them. They only leased them. And the only reason they did it was because the government required them to make so many electric cars or something like that, or they'd get hit with a big fine because they wanted to look at alternative energy. But they never advertised the car. They recalled them all and destroyed them all afterwards. And everybody that owned them said they were like these fantastic vehicles that with lead acid batteries, they'd still go well over 100 miles. They'd do freeway speeds. And they were comfortable, nice cars. And it's like, look how long it took us to get that back, like in the form of a Tesla. And the truth is, when you compare the specs of the cars, the Tesla is, obviously superior, but still, why did it take so much time for that to happen? And it took a company that was basically eating their lunch for them to all go, okay, hold on, we should probably start making some electric vehicles. And now everybody makes them. The technology's been around forever, but it's like they literally had to be like,
they almost had to start from scratch because after that Chevy thing with gas being so cheap and stuff, they like scrapped and just completely they toasted the whole project. Like they didn't save anything from it, and everybody had to start over.
Yep, like check this out. I'll put this in chat for you guys to look at. Well, actually, I was gonna until it was like 5,000 freaking. Here, let me get a smaller URL. So this is the Chevy EV1. This car, look at this car. This is a fully electric car that was manufactured by General Motors. So it's like it's a real car that existed. There's like, I think there's like one in the Peterson Museum or something like that, but there's like, I think there's one in private hands, but they were all ordered back and crushed because they wouldn't allow anybody to buy them. And it's a fantastic car. It's got amazing specifications for the time. It was built so it was built in 1996 through 1999. They only built 1,000 units because that's like all they had to build. And let me see if I can find the specs on it, like even back then. Like it's way better than what you'd think. Let me see if I can find the range. Okay, so the range.
Hang on, I'm going to use the restroom real quick.
Go ahead, man. So with lead acid batteries in the early model, it'd go 55 miles. With the nickel metal hydride batteries in the later model, it could go 105 miles. So the later versions in 97 through 99, they'd go 105 miles, which for a vehicle that existed in the 90s, that's pretty damn good, and could attain freeway speeds and everything. I think that's pretty damn amazing, actually. And so. But General Motors only built it to basically appease the government, and then they just went back to just making gas-powered cars, and they leased it because they didn't want anybody to be able to hang on to these things for any period of time. As a matter of fact, a lot of celebrities tried to buy them. They were like, literally, we'll pay whatever it costs to keep the car, and they're like, nope, sorry. And many of them tried to hide them, and they still got snatched up and put in the crusher because General Motors did not want to compete with itself making electric vehicles. But now today, a lot has changed. And now that a lot has changed, it's like people want to buy electric cars. Electric cars are like a really commonplace. And we have Tesla to thank for that. Without Tesla, there wouldn't have been a mainstream vehicle that would have forced these companies to actually start bringing electrical options to the table. Because now it's a matter of they'll lose their business to Tesla. Because they thought if they stopped making EV1 and all the other manufacturers stopped making, they just made gas cars and they all had this gentleman's agreement that nobody could buy an electric car and it wouldn't be a threat. But when Tesla popped up and sold nothing but electric cars, it forced them to realize that, oh shit, now they're getting their lunch eaten.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I think most car manufacturers now have like committed to either an all EV or majority EV product line in the next 10 years or so.
Yeah,
I want to say most of them are probably sooner than that, but yeah, it's gonna be all electric everything outside of like you'll probably still have some heavy duty pickup trucks and stuff that will be diesel or gasoline and stuff, but most like your regular day-to-day vehicles are going to be electric, and I think that's super cool.
And I think the thing is, too, is the automotive industry is starting to realize that now there's such a huge market for this and the costs have come down to manufacturing this stuff that they're going to make more money selling these than they are the gas cars, because they're going to. But the bigger problem that they're going to deal with is like if you buy an electric car, you have zero maintenance. So you're not paying dealerships for like oil changes. You're not paying for your 20,000 and 60,000 miles and 100,000 miles. So there's a lot of stuff where they lose like revenue opportunities that they lose. But I think they make that up just on the cost, the additional cost they can put on the vehicle and sell it.
Yeah, there's still got to be some kind of maintenance, right? Like, I mean,
tires,
the motors, like the electric motors, they can't last forever.
They pretty much do, though. I mean, obviously not forever, but like they're brushless motors, which means that there's nothing that's contacting anything inside that's arcing or anything like that. The bearings in them are sealed bearings, which means that the lubrication can never leave them. They're like completely sealed with packed grease. And so, so unless those seals break down, which, you know, literally would take like 50 years, 100 years, that material is still going to be fine. So I don't really see these cars needing any service for like hundreds of thousands of miles beyond the battery pack. The battery pack's the one thing that's huge, right?
Ball joints, tie rods, AC compressor, Epic Nelson.
The thing is, though, is I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Okay, so the AC compressor, I will go ahead and say that, yeah, that probably is something that will still need to be serviced, because I can't imagine the AC in an electric car is really any different than the AC in a gas-powered car. You're turning a pump, right? Yeah. But the electric motors are nearly maintenance-free. All the bearings are sealed in the vehicle, so you don't have to, like, repack anything with grease. The wear on them is going to be very minimal. As far as the steering stuff, maybe. But the thing is, like, old steering on old cars, like, had, you know, bearings that were packed with grease and stuff like that you had to actually, like, you know, pump in grease yourself. Now everything's all sealed. Like, everything's a sealed system that's not designed to be serviced. So unless you, like, physically break it or it somehow wears itself out, really you don't have to do much. Brake fluid, the thing is, though, is EVs rarely use their brakes.
Like, right, because they use like the regenerative braking, right?
Yeah, so like I know people that have Teslas that their rotors like don't even have anything more than light scratching. Like their brakes maybe have engaged like 3 times the entire year that they've driven the car. Because when you're slamming on the brakes in a Tesla, I mean, you're giving back 100 kilowatts of energy. I mean, that is a lot. You're literally you could lock up the tires with the electric motors. So there's no need for the physical brakes unless it's a very specific situation. And then the car will engage the physical brakes on its own. So you have almost no brake wear. I don't know of anybody that has ever replaced the brake pads on their Tesla. As long as they've been out. Since 2012, I've never heard of anybody replacing the brake pads on the Tesla.
Wow.
So I really don't think that you're going to see much wear and tear on them. I really don't think so. The cooling systems are completely sealed. So there's no chance of evaporation unless you develop a leak somewhere. I could see that being a problem. Maybe like a rubber hose breaks down or something somewhere and you start leaking coolant. Stuff like that, then yeah, I guess there'd be maintenance on that. But what I'm saying is, like, in a regular car, you have fuel coming into it, and the fuel dirties everything up. It dirties up the coolant, it dirties up the oil. The oil is actually getting a lot of particulate matter in it that clogs up the filter. And it's like with electric motors, you don't get any of that, right? You don't have a gearbox, you know, or a conventional gearbox that's like shedding metal and stuff like that, right? They got rid of the 2-speed gearbox. Now it's all like direct drive through just a couple of gears off the motor. You don't have any meshing issues. The grease that they use inside of a Tesla motor, it's designed for life. The motors are not serviceable. Like, you're not even supposed to take them apart. Like, I watched a video of them taking apart a Tesla motor, and it's like the thing's like literally like glued together with like this epoxy shit. Like, it's not considered a serviceable part.
Wow.
So, but you know what I will argue though is the electronics, because that's the one failing thing that we all know is that the Chinesium will at some point go wrong.
Right.
So like gauge clusters, electronics, door lock actuators, things like that. I could see stuff like that needing like some kind of general maintenance. So maybe it all adds up. But with a conventional car, the drivetrain is the thing that needs the most attention. And in an EV, the drivetrain's almost taken out of the picture. Because is your battery going to go bad? Probably not. Those things are built incredibly well. And complete sealed system. Is your motor going to go bad? Probably not. It's a brushless, you know, 3-phase, or I think they're like 6-phase now or something in the new ones. Like 3-phase or 6-phase AC motor. No parts are really touching other than the drive shaft itself, which is sealed inside of a special roller bearing that's like, you know, designed to run forever. Like, these bearings are literally designed to never be serviced, never be re-greased, never be repacked. They're just 100%. Let's see, fluids in a closed system still break down, especially if temperatures change. Depends on the material, Nick. It depends on the fluid that's being used. Because you actually can create fluids in a sealed system, and as long as there's no oxygen in the system, like it's completely free of oxygen and no oxidants can occur, you can actually keep that fluid, again, within temperature. But again, that's why the Tesla has heat exchangers and heaters. It keeps that fluid in a very, very specific temperature, literally forever. So I'm curious to see how they stand up, though, over time. Like, I know there's some Teslas out there that have like 100,000 plus miles on them and stuff, but I don't think they've been around long enough yet to really get an indication of what their long-term life looks like.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, it has only been, less than 10 years, really. So
yeah.
I'm curious the long-term, you know, I suppose just maintenance and stuff that needs to be done. Because, like, you know, I mean, batteries, you know, the charge and discharge cycles are finite, things like that. You can only do that so many times, and then
yep. Oh, geez. Okay, so there is one Tesla. Now, keep in mind, this is one, right? There's always the miracle car. But there is one Tesla in the UK. It's a 90D, so a Tesla 90D. So this isn't even the first model. This is a later model. Dubbed the E-Hawk, has just surpassed 400,000 miles. So just to give you an idea, there is not a car that can go 400,000 miles without having its timing chain adjusted, or its if it has a timing belt, you've been through like 4 of them by then. I don't know of many cars other than maybe like a Crown Vic, like a Crown Vic or like a Lexus RX 300. Those are probably the 2 vehicles that I've seen, gas vehicles, that have made it past 400,000 miles. But even then, I mean, they needed a lot of brake changes. They probably need a lot of little electronic components. The motors definitely had to be serviced. There's no way. You have to change the oil in them routinely. So the fact that a Tesla went 400,000 miles without having to like replace its battery pack and without having to replace its motors is pretty damn awesome. So that's a lot of miles, dude. That's like, I mean, I don't know, 400,000 miles. If you drive, let's see, average person probably drives what, like 7,000 miles a year, 7 to 12,000 miles a year. I mean, at 400,000 miles, it's like you're dead. Like you've passed that car on to your ancestors. Like if you just are an average driver. Oh, by the way, that 400,000 miles was within 3 years. So
wow,
that's insane. Like I don't like this car just must have been driving nonstop.
Wow.
So let's see. Okay, less than a year ago, we reported on one of Tesloop's Tesla Model S is hitting 300,000 miles in just 2 years. The company claimed that the vehicle alone saved them an estimated $60,000 on fuel and maintenance compared to a similar vehicle for their shuttle service. Okay, well, that obviously makes sense. It was a shuttle car. Let's see here. Now Tesloop's very first Model S, the 90D, which is dubbed the E-Hawk, has surpassed 400,000 miles, enough to make it a Tesla with the highest reported mileage in the world. The company also detailed its maintenance costs in its blog below. Tesloop has incurred a combined maintenance cost of roughly $19,000 or about 0.05 cents per mile. This cost breaks down to about $6,700 for general vehicle repairs and about $12,200 for regular scheduled maintenance. The Model S full service record is available here. The records include comparable estimates costs of running service with a Lincoln Town Car instead of a Model S or a Mercedes GLS class instead of a Model X. Tesloop estimated that a Lincoln Town Car or Mercedes GLS class combined maintenance cost would be around $88,500 or 22 cents a mile and $98,900 or 25 cents a mile respectively over the same 400,000 miles. So they're saying that you know, even though over 3 years they spent, you know, geez, so let's see, that's $19,000. They're still saying that over that same course of time, they'd spend almost $100,000 on the gas powered equivalent. I wonder what the maintenance was here. Let me pull up the service record because I want to see like what they did that cost $19,000 over the course of 3 years. Like what were they doing with this thing? All right, so let's see. Okay, warranty. There's a lot of warranty work that was done. Tire replacements and alignments seem to be the warranty work. The stuff that wasn't warranty work, though, was replace rear right door handle. So yeah, again, the electronics are failing, right? Let's see. So $962. Ouch, man, $1,000 to replace a door handle. Okay.
Damn.
So when shit goes wrong, it goes wrong. Driver door handle assembly fix, $962. So on the same, where's the dates? Is it the same day? Oh, they don't have dates. So luckily they didn't have to pay for it though. This was comp. That was the price that it would have cost, but they put payment type as goodwill, meaning that Tesla just handled it for them. New key fob, because they lost the key fob. That was $123. I don't even consider that like a maintenance cost. It's like that they fucked up. That's not the car. Yeah. Front left door handle broke. Replace the thermal controller air conditioning unit. Oh man, he called it. So the AC had to be replaced. Again, that was goodwill. They paid for it. So still, we're not even into anything they've paid other than actually the only thing they've paid for right now is a key fob and an HVAC fan diagnosis, which was $1,000. And it was just a diagnosis. It doesn't even say that it was. It basically said it was just it says it was warranty work, but they charged them $1,000. So I don't understand that. Let me scroll through. Oh no, never mind.
Just labor.
No, it's 2 lists. It's 2 lists side by side. They did the spreadsheet really wonky. So there's general vehicle repairs and regular scheduled maintenance. Here, I'll send you guys the document if you guys want to go along with us here. So going through it, looks like the regular scheduled maintenance equated out to $12,782, and the biggest fees were replacing headlights. $2,800 for replacing headlights? What?
Damn.
Okay, so they did have to replace the rear and front brake pad rotors, but get this, at 225,000 miles.
Wow. Dude, that's great.
But how much did those brakes cost? $1,759 for rotors and pads. I mean, that's like more than like Porsche 911 fucking like, bro, that's like carbon ceramic money. Wow. Let's see. Okay, the next biggest thing was the rear bumper repairs. That was $1,000. So that's, again, I'm gonna say that's cosmetic, right? So if you weren't like a shuttle company, you wouldn't incur that cost, right? You just wouldn't give a shit. So the real expensive ones were the replaced headlights. The general maintenance was $2,176 after 274,000 miles. They replaced the brakes, and that's about it.
Wow.
That's about it. Like tire replacement and one time replacing the brakes in 400,000 miles. That's pretty fucking amazing.
That is great.
Okay, now when we come over general vehicle repairs, so that was regular scheduled maintenance. So those were all under. So now this is the general vehicle repairs. So this is like stuff that needed to be fixed along the way.
Fender.
Exactly. So replace rear door handle. That was $900. Driver door handle assembly fix. That was $900. Left front door handle, $221. Okay, so it's pretty clear that the handles on the Tesla Model shit are garbage. Because literally again, this is all at 230,000 miles though. But it looks like around between 230 and 278,000 miles, like all the fucking door handles had to be replaced. Like the whole assembly, not just the handle, but like the electronics and everything. Let's see, replace thermal controller air conditioning. I talked about they did that one for free. Replace ACTXV valve evaporator. That was $436. Air conditioning. Oh, entire air conditioning system had to be serviced for $1,351, but that was at 290,000 miles. Like at 200, if you get a car to 290,000 miles, you're doing pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Let's see, scrolling through here. Let me look at. I'm only looking at the big ones. Okay, so replace driver's seat base assembly, $1,364 just to replace the base for the seat, the electric base for the seat. So the seat failed. That was an expensive one. Labor and miscellaneous was $3,500 over the course of the maintenance. And the biggest, most expensive fee on the thing was a left headlight and damaged undercarriage replaced for $2,200. So when you factor out the ones that are cosmetic damage or user error, realistically, the maintenance cost of this car is like half.
Yeah.
Like $400,000, you spent $9,000. You'd spend $9,000 on fuel for a comparable car in 1 year. So
pretty good.
Yeah, if it was a fleet vehicle like this, you would. So the way I see it is they made out like a bandit. Like that's. Like that was absolutely the right decision for that company to make. I do want a Tesla. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't really like Elon Musk that much anymore as a person, but man, I love his cars.
Yeah, man, I want one too.
Kevlar Condoms in here. He said it's a $120K car that's stupid cheap. Dude, for more like a 400,000 mile car and still going and super cheap.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at I don't know, like 90, a little over 95,000. I think I'm close up on 96,000 miles on my car, and I've already had to do the brakes. I don't know, a few oil changes here and there. I know I've got my 90,000 mile maintenance is supposed to happen, and that's like, I think that's a few different flushes and filters and things, and that's going to be like $800. The pads, the brakes I did myself, so that actually only cost me like $60 or something in an hour. Thankfully, disc brakes, super easy to do yourself.
It adds up quick.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how where am I going to be at when I reach 400,000 miles on my car?
You know what else I noticed though, reading through that? Nothing in that list after 400,000 miles, not a single thing in that list was powertrain related.
Right?
Nothing with the motor, nothing with the gears, nothing with the suspension, nothing with, literally after 400,000 miles, that's pretty insane.
I need an alignment, and that's going to cost me some money, you know?
Well, the oil change, right? If you go get an oil change at Jiffy Lube, that's going to be $25-$30 at Jiffy Lube. You go to the dealership, it's going to be $80 or $90, and you're going to be doing that every 3,000 miles. Right? You're going to fill up the tank, if you're driving regularly, and putting like 12,000 miles a year, you're going to be filling up your tank like every week and a half.
Just the cost discrepancy between gas and what I pay for electricity will make up for all of the maintenance. Like, it's crazy.
Yep. Oh, wow. Epic Nelson got a job offer from Microsoft. Congratulations, sir.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So get on in there, get a Source Depot enlistment, zip that shit up and send it to me. Oh wait, never mind. David Richmond said he found something on the list that said the front drive unit was replaced at 36,000 miles. Well, at 36,000 miles, that tells me it was defective. Like that's not a matter of where. That was literally a defective unit. If it died in 36,000 miles, I'm gonna call defective on that. Was it replaced under warranty? I'm guessing at 36,000 miles, that was a warranty repair. And the new unit that they put in there obviously has lasted the rest of the 400,000 miles.
Son.
So
it costs $7,500 if you want to just buy one of those.
Oh, just to get the front drive unit?
Yep.
Shit.
So I guess it's the front. It's the motor that runs the front wheels. I guess I'm looking at the picture of it at least.
The one thing I don't like about Teslas though is like after watching Rich rebuilds a whole bunch, is they sure make it difficult for third parties to work on the car. Like you literally have to like source parts from wrecking yards and buy cars from like, salvage auctions to get parts. And then even then there's compatibility issues and little hacks and stuff that they have to do. So Tesla does a really, really good job of like locking their system down like Apple does. They're like the e-car of Apple. So the one thing I do worry about is later on, if they stop supporting those platforms or they start charging like exorbitant rates for those, like how do you get that shit like repaired and built? It's like a gasoline car. It's like you can go to, a fab shop and have them like whip you up a new piston if you break it and they don't make it anymore, right? It's fairly simple technology, but it's like, what do you do with like some complex like motor stator thing or some electronic bundles that has like, a million transistors on it? It's like, where do you source that shit when you need it?
Yeah.
But then again, will you ever need it? Because it seems like the Tesla just wants to keep going and going and going. And the sad thing is like if you bought a Tesla for like even let's say $60,000, like on the low end for like a cheap Model S, you buy it for $60,000. I'd be willing to bet that after 3 to 5 years of you driving that car, if you drove a fair amount, you would actually end up costing about the same as you buying like a gas vehicle that was 1/3 as much. Like my little Subaru Forester that I bought for $24,000, I could probably be like rolling around in like a Tesla Model X, and after 5 years, it would be the same amount of money.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad because it's like I don't have the upfront like capital to like do that, like to buy the car that will ultimately save me money in the end. But if you look at it over time, it absolutely would save you money. Yeah, I know we need the right to repair. Absolutely. If you guys ever see legislation for right to repair, you need to vote for that shit, because there's a lot of legislators running around right now lobbying for Apple and there's some other devices too, like Apple, I know HP, Dell. I think all those guys are lobbying really, really hard to keep you out of their shit. Like they want to be able to make electronics where they just goop everything up so you can't get it off the main board and make everything disposable.
Right.
The big one though that I never thought, like this, the one that kind of kicked this off and got it on my radar was John Deere. John Deere, the company that makes fucking tractors. Like, what is the most serviceable thing on planet Earth that you would think like needs to be fixable by the person who owns it? Probably a tractor. Because you're out on a farm in the middle of bumfuck Egypt. You got slim margins and you're making food for the country and you're working 24/7. It's like you need to be able to fix your shit. Right. And John Deere locks their stuff down like none other. Like Ferrari is easier to break into and mod.
That's crazy.
Than John Deere. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like that's a company that I never thought. Like I grew up with John Deere. If it runs like a deer,
Right.
And I grew up with that iconic John Deere, and I never thought that they would be a company that would move to a model that just locks. And I mean, they lock you out for stupid shit. Like I was watching a video where it's like to change the light bulb. Like the light bulb burns out and then it turns on a service light and says you have to like take it to John Deere authorized thing. And then John Deere has to like send a fucking code down through like a satellite to tell it that it's okay for you to put the new bulb in it and like verify it. And then you have to pay for that service. And it's like, are you fucking shitting me? It's stupid. Like changing the fluids and shit in it. Like it's all of it requires some kind of fucking authorization.
I bet they started doing that because they were probably losing money. A guy would buy $100,000 tractor and keep it for 50 years, and so it's like, what are you going to do? You gotta keep. It's like the subscription model, right? It's your tractor as a service sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh wait, David also caught another one I did. He said, "Did you notice the HV battery pack was replaced twice in that 400K? It was under warranty though, wasn't it?"
Wow.
If it's under warranty, I'm not gonna count it as like upkeep. But that does kind of make sense because I don't think the battery packs in those cars are designed to be cycled 400,000 times. So I would expect a battery to last, I don't know, 150,000 miles. But that does raise a good point because the battery is one of the most expensive parts in the car. I would equate the battery in an EV to the transmission in a regular car. Like transmissions cost way more than the motors. Like the engines themselves are way cheaper than transmissions in like 99% of all vehicles. For some reason, I don't know why. I don't know if it's the materials that they use to build them, but transmissions are ridiculously expensive. Like the transmission for my car to buy like a new old stock in crate is like $7,500. I can buy a crate motor for my car for $2,500. Like my Subaru STI, I can buy a whole brand new shiny motor for $2,500, but the transmission's $7,500 for the 6-speed. It's crazy. It's so absorbently expensive. So if you're out of warranty and you have to replace that battery pack, you're fucked. Like that's going to be expensive. Kevlar said the new battery packs can go 1,000,000 miles. I mean, I'd be curious to see that. Like, I mean, we need to see it in practice because there's a lot of companies that say, oh, yeah, we did our estimates and the shit's going to last this long. And then you put it in an environment where they never thought to test it and the fucking thing like dies after 100K. I know they had that problem with was it the Nissan Leaf? Did you hear about that?
Huh.
So the Nissan Leaf had an issue where a bunch of people were buying them in super cold climates. And it was like fucking up the batteries like really bad. Like something to do with they didn't have a heating and cooling system on the early Leafs. So the battery temperature was just environmental. Like whereas the Tesla, if it's cold out, it'll circulate heat. It'll use its power to keep the battery pack warm and circulate fluid. If it's too hot, it'll circulate fluid and turn on the fans and keep the battery at a fairly constant temperature. The Leaf didn't do that in the first ones. So you can find these Leafs now everywhere on like Auto Trader, like a Leaf with like fucking 25,000 miles on it. Battery pack's dead for like, $3,000, but the battery pack for it's like fucking $5,000 or $8,000, and that particular car doesn't have a liquid cooled battery pack. So you're just gonna have the same problem again if you don't live in a like a nice temperate climate.
Yeah.
But I thought about getting one. Like I was looking at them because I couldn't believe they were so cheap. Like shit, I'll go to Auto Trader right now and look up like a Nissan Leaf, and like I couldn't believe it when I was looking. I was like, holy shit, these are cheap. Because that's a car if you want. I don't think they make them anymore, but the last year they made them, I want to say they were like upper 30s, like 30s starting at like 37,000. It was ridiculous how expensive they were, and now you can just buy them for like nothing. Like here, okay, the new ones obviously are still going like a new one, a 2019 Leaf that's still brand new, 32,000, right? MSRP 42. So, but check this out. Guess how much a used 2012 Nissan Leaf SL with 73 miles? Sorry, it has a 73 mile range. And it only has 64,000 miles on it. Guess how much you can get it for right now if you paid their price?
$6,000.
$5,000. $5,000 right now. If you are willing to drive to Bellevue Nissan. So Bellevue Nissan has a silver used 2012 Nissan Leaf SL for $5,600.
I'd barely be able to drive home from the dealership on a full charge. 73 miles.
Dude, that was wait, hold on, buddy. That was 73 miles when it was new. Remember, these old models have some severe problems. I bet you this thing can't go 20 miles on the battery that it's got.
Yeah, like I'm wow, come on. Am I even gonna make it home? I'd be pissed.
So this is how bad they depreciate, right? So scrolling on down, let's see. We got a 2017, so way newer, right? 2017 Nissan Leaf S with a 107 mile range. So this has got the increased range, 107 miles, and it's certified, recertified new. So they basically like went through it and refurbished it, right? $10,000 buys you a 2017 certified Leaf with only 21,000 on it. 21,000 miles. It's brand new. Brand new.
I'll buy that.
Yeah.
10K you said? Yeah.
Yep.
That's better. Probably got a 200 mile range.
Yeah, so check this out. So use 2013 Nissan Leaf. So this one is a year newer than the one we saw before. It has lower miles. It only has 16,000 miles on it. It's white with a beige or like a gray interior. Looks brand fucking new inside out. $6,900.
Wow.
So you can just buy these. Dude, they're nothing. And this is a car that like if you bought it today brand new, you would spend almost $40,000.
And you can get a couple-year-old one, and you're good.
Exactly. So they're absolute fucking like garbage cars because of the battery pack problem. But I heard they solved it. Like I guess the new models can go up to like 151 miles, and they've got a cooled battery now. So, but it depends on the climate. If you buy one of these in like a temperate climate, like here in Washington, they'd probably be just fine.
Sure.
But if you go to try to drive it like in the wintertime when it's like freezing ball ass cold, you're gonna lose like 10 miles of your range, 10 or 15 miles of your range, just like that.
I think when I get rid of my Veloster, I'm either gonna go for the Model 3, like the cheaper Tesla sedan, or the fancy pants new Veloster, the N, I think they call it, the sporty one,
the turboed one.
Yeah, I think it's got the it's like flappy paddles and stuff. It's like a sequential gearbox or whatnot. Yeah.
Actually, Hyundai makes good shit now. Like they were one of those brands where it's like they made fucking garbage for years, and now all of a sudden they're like right up there with Honda and Toyota.
Yeah, for like I want to say it was around 2010. They hired like some really cool design, like probably some young buck designers, and like all their cars started looking really fresh. And then you had stuff like the Genesis, which was like it looks cool. I love that car. Quick. They did. I think they did the Tiburon, didn't they? Was it the Hyundai?
Yeah,
Hyundai
I wasn't a big
Tiburon?
fan of the Tiburon. The looks were kind of nasty.
I liked the look of it myself.
Okay,
that was kind of cool.
Well, dude, I mean, a Velociter. So the base model Velociter brand new is 18.9, so 18,900, and that's with 18-inch alloy wheels, making 201 horsepower. So that's not the hot one though. I think the hot one makes closer to 300.
Yeah, the Veloster N, I think.
Oh wait, no, that is the turbo R spec. So the turbo R spec only makes 201. So there must be even a spec above this.
Yeah, the N.
Because 201 ain't enough. It's just not enough.
Up to 275.
Okay, 275 is like what I would consider like a zippy little hot hatch.
Yeah.
But I mean, the money's cheap. They're cheap.
Yeah, it's all about that low end torque anyway. Like I'm not trying to go 200 miles an hour. I just want to get to the next light faster than you.
You know what you should do is you should keep an eye out for the Ford Focus RS.
Oh, that'd be a good one too.
My neighbor got a stellar deal on one. I was so jealous, dude. He bought one that had the blown head gasket, but it was under warranty. I don't know why the dealership didn't just fix it, because it's a car that was worth $35,000, like in its state with its mileage, and he bought it off him for $26,500, and then he just drove it to the dealership and just left it there until they could put a new head gasket. It took him like 2 weeks.
Looks like they discoed the RS. Ford isn't doing that.
No, really?
I'm seeing a YouTube video that why has Ford scrapped the Focus?
Oh, I love that car. Oh, that's sad.
That's too bad. Yeah, I heard they were doing really good, like in like Gymkhana stuff.
Oh yeah, dude, they dominated it. Like there were literally no other. The only car that could compete with it was Tanner Faust's Beetle, the Volkswagen Beetle, and it was because it was like a cheater car. It wasn't a Beetle. It literally was like 100 tube frame car, made 600 plus horsepower, and everybody else was only making like 500. It was the cheatingest cheater car in all of GRC, and everybody knew it. Nothing against Tanner. I love Tanner. He's a great guy, but that was the most cheating car ever built in GRC. Was that car should have been kicked out. Like it was so ridiculous.
Ford killed cars. Kevlar saying Ford killed cars. SUV only.
Oh man, that sucks.
That makes sense. Just doing trucks and SUVs. That does suck.
Yeah. Like, well, I drove my neighbor's RS before he got it tuned and after he got it tuned, and even before he got it tuned, man, it was a hell of a fun car to drive. It feels a lot lighter than it actually is. Like it's a fairly hefty car. I think it weighs like 3,300 or 3,400 pounds. Yeah. But no, it handles fantastic. The torque vectoring on the steering, it doesn't understeer at all going into a corner, which is like the trademark of all-wheel drive cars.
Yeah.
It's very zippy, almost no turbo lag. Like in my car, like I drive my car and I'm like, I don't feel like my car has a massive amount of turbo lag, but I drove his car and I got back in my car and I was like, oh my God, my car, like I literally feel like a drag racer. Like I have to build boost for like 3 seconds before I set off, and his just instantly.
This is very reasonable.
What kind of prices are you seeing?
A 2017, so locally here, a 2017 Focus RS is on CarMax right now, 92K miles. And they want just under 27K for it.
With how many miles?
92K.
92 seems a little high. That seems a little high mileage.
Yeah, for a 3-year-old car.
That seems exorbitantly high. And the thing is though, is make sure that if you were to buy one, make sure they already fixed the defective head gasket, because they're out of warranty now. So make sure it's got that new fancy head gasket in it, because that was the biggest problem with these cars. They all blew their head gaskets.
Man, that's pretty sexy too. I like this.
Dude, the interiors are awesome. The seating position is awesome. The shifter is right where you want it. It's badass.
They totally stole that front end from Evo.
They did. They totally did.
And it looks like the whole design element is like inspired by Subaru.
Yeah, it is.
It looks like a squatty Forester.
Dude, they are properly quick though. Like I was pleasantly surprised at how there is only, like, it doesn't feel like a turbo motor. If you didn't hear a little bit of the turbo, like you wouldn't think it's turbocharged. Like from the second you set off and you're on the gas, it feels like you're building full boost. Whereas my car, it's like you got to be like 3,500 before you're making the 21 PSI. This thing's just like boom there.
My bad. This one I was looking at is actually in Sacramento, Roseville. My bad.
Oh, okay. They're probably cheaper up here.
Ones. Yeah.
Oh, there's none for sale here?
on CarMax.
Oh,
yeah.
You got to check out the Auto Trader, man.
Right.
Autotrader.com.
I love how we started talking about cars now.
It's okay. Cars are technology.
I
want to thank a couple of people. Sorry, man. I totally missed all these. Syntax, thank you for the £5 super chat. He said, I got to run. Time to chow down some KFC. God, that sounds good.
Ooh.
He says, love you guys. So here's my average size tip. Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate it, Syntax. Darka. We got Dark in 1912-011. Thank you for the 12 pound ruse. He said, hi, tech dudes. Wonder if you could help. I have an HP Omen 17T laptop and had to replace the battery with a new one, and now it's not detecting the battery at all. Other than that, the laptop works fine. Uh-oh.
I mentioned this in the chat, but I didn't pay attention close enough to see what the answer was. My first instinct is it a legitimate HP battery? If you bought some Chinese knockoff replacement battery from eBay, they may have some sort of chip that's supposed to talk right. Does it run on the new battery? Like if you unplug it it just doesn't report the, like, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
If it still runs on the battery but it just isn't reporting the like Windows isn't reporting the fullness of it. There are third-party apps that can probably do that as well. I know some laptops have a BIOS read, like a setting, not a setting necessarily, but it'll tell you the battery like health. Dells are good about this. The BIOS will have a health monitor for the battery. Does that recognize it, or is it a Windows problem?
Yeah. Also, just because you think it's an authentic battery doesn't mean it is. If you bought it off Amazon or something, you didn't buy it directly from the laptop manufacturer. There are so many knockoffs. I bought like 3 Canon batteries that all like kept a charge for like 15 minutes, and they said genuine Canon and everything. And I had to go read this big article and find out that just by looking at the print, the slight difference in the fonts, and it not being 100% like symmetrical with the paper stamp that was on the thing, I found out they were counterfeit. And I actually alerted Amazon, and they deleted the person's store. They refunded all my money for the 3 batteries. Counterfeiting is a big deal on Amazon. So if you're buying from like third-party sellers, hell, even sometimes first-party sellers, because Amazon doesn't do a very good job looking when they stock shit in their warehouse. But just be aware of that. Be aware that batteries are probably one of the most counterfeited things there is. So if the battery's not working, I would probably blame the battery before I'd blame the laptop. What?
Oh, like 4 of us all crushed this guy in chat real fast.
Just tag teamed him. Yeah. AuxxZillary, Kevlar caught him. That was awesome. Yeah. You guys just stacked it up. Hey, Paul, thank you for the 20 pounds. Hey, Paul, get some fireworks here. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Beep. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Paul. He said, hey guys, been watching for a long time. Never sent a super chat before, but I thought I'd show my appreciation. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Paul. We really do appreciate it, buddy. Sorry, it took me 32 minutes to get around to reading that. I lost track of my little mini feed and forgot to scroll up while we were getting all excited about cars.
Yeah.
Ford. Actually, that price you read earlier is actually a good deal. Like if you were down there and you could buy it, because all the ones in Washington are selling for like $34,000-$35,000.
That's
used.
what I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm like, the same dealer I got my Veloster from has got one 2017 with 28,000 miles. They want 38 or 37.5.
Yeah, it looks like they're suffering from the Fast and the Furious effect. So like they were cheap. Like I told you, my neighbor picked one up for like 27. So, right. And it was low mileage. It needed the head gasket replaced, but it was a warranty work issue. So he bought it from the dealer, drove it to Ford, and got it replaced. And I'm like, my God, dude, like you got a steal. I would have bought that car. Like if I had known that deal was somewhere out there, I would have gone and bought it that day. Like even if I couldn't afford it, I would have just got rid of my my STI. Don't get me wrong, I love my Subaru STI. It's definitely a technical driver's car. Like the STI has like no assist.
I love your car.
Dude, it's a torque monster. That's like a lot of people don't realize like how hard that thing launches for what it is. Like like it actually scared Xander. I took Xander out for a ride, and he's like, Dad, go hard. So I just all I did was just build boost. Like I basically let off the clutch just a little bit as I'm left foot in the brake, and I just let it build boost up to 21 psi in first gear, and then just slip my foot off the clutch, and it just smokes off all 4 tires, smoke blowing out of all the fender wells, and then once the tires melt up a little bit, it just grips and about rips my head off. And Xander goes, "Don't do that again, Daddy! Don't do that again, Daddy!" He was like freaking out, and he loves to go fast, so I was like, that was like a rite of passage.
It tickles my my quick shifting like sense of me. I like, yeah, it was good.
Hey, Dark, yeah, and you actually to this day, you're still the only person that's driven my car that actually shifted it that smooth.
Dude, it's perfect.
So
it's
it loves you. My car loves you because most people can't do that. Most people can't get that fast, smooth shift like that on that car. It's tricky. It's not an easy thing to do in that car. It doesn't have the super synchros that modern cars have. Darka, thank you for the 10 pounds. He said, thanks, guys. Yeah, I bought it on Amazon and was charging it first, but third day went down to 0%, not detected. Guess I should have bought a genuine one from HP, but they wanted 150 quid compared to 68. See, exactly, and you get what you pay for, dude.
You can probably still get a genuine HP one cheaper than going directly through HP.
Yeah.
It's just... or heck, even a used one from a reputable, because a lot of laptops will be e-waste, right?
Yep.
Companies will take e-waste away, and it's still good stuff. It's just like 3-4 years old. But yeah.
Hey, Dark Cat, how old is the laptop? Because the other thing that you could do too is most of the older laptops, I know the newer ones use some lithium polymer stuff, but if it's an older laptop that uses 18650 cells, crack your old one open. If your old one's shot, crack it open and throw some 18650 cells. Cost like, if you buy them in bulk, you can get them for like $1 a pop. Like literally rebuild your battery pack with like the best 18650s ever.
Yeah, you could do that. Because honest to goodness, a lot of those battery packs, when you crack them open, it's just full of AA batteries.
Yeah, shit. I'll look it up. The HP Omen 17. Let me see here.
6 months? 6 months, and you're having a shitty battery? HP should just replace.
Yeah, that should be a warranty thing, dude. Like that's.
Yeah,
I'd call HP on that bullshit.
If you bought it new 6 months ago, they should give you a new battery. That's bogus.
So wait, this thing actually has like? Did you have to take it apart to put the battery in it, or does this thing actually have a replaceable battery?
I'm all like,
I'm very confused looking at this thing. So here, let me see. Battery. Let me see what a battery for this thing looks like.
Dude, I think you got me super addicted to this car now.
Dude, dude, I would be jealous if you got one. Like literally, that is for me. My dream car right now would be a Tesla, just because it's like unobtainium and it's cool technology. But as far as the gas cars go, like all-wheel drive, little hot hatch, like all the way, dude. See? Like the RS is unmatched. There's nothing like it.
Warranty expired in 2 months.
And the other thing you have to assume too is every single one of those that's been purchased has been driven hard. Like,
well, I imagine
there's nobody that buys that car and like grannies it around. That is a car that just demands
24,000 miles, and
James said, "Do you still recommend Shut Up 10?" No, actually, I don't use Shut Up 10 anymore. Because I'm not 100% sure. I need to go back and look at my video. But the one I recommended in my video, I did an update to the video description. Use the one that I mentioned in the video description, because as soon as I made that video, the company was like, it was like an open source freebie that you could use, like O&O or whatever made it. And then they started like charging for it. And I was like, oh fuck that. So I was pretty mad about that. I don't know if it was Shut Up 10 that charged though. So check my video to know for sure. But whatever company I recommended in that video, I updated the video description because I was like, you guys are despicable. Like, I bring a bunch of attention to your fucking free tool, and then you start charging for it. Yeah, no, never mind. That was Spybot Anti-Beacon. No, you're right. That was so you're good. Shut Up 10's fine. Yep.
That's messed up.
Shut Up 10 is the good one. Yeah, I remember that. It was Spybot Anti-Beacon that did that, like where they were free. I did a video on their product because I thought it was really awesome, and I went through and used it myself. And then I get people messaging me going, what the fuck, man? You're recommending this product that costs money. You said it was free in the video. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I go to their site and they're charging for it. And I was like, that is stupid. Like, that is stupid. You guys like straight up fucking like used me. Even though, I mean, they didn't ask me to do anything. But I'm like, dude, I literally promoted your product to get your name out there. And you decide, oh shit, all of a sudden a bunch of people are downloading this, so we're going to start charging them. I was like, fuck you guys. You're as bad as Microsoft. Okay, wait. Oh, the Omen 17 oh wow, it is a replaceable battery. And you know what? Just looking at that battery, I can tell you right now that has 18650s in it because of the curved edges. Yeah, so is it 11.1 volt, 4400 milliamp hour? PA06 notebook battery? Does that sound about right? Yeah, dude, you can
want a lot of money for these.
Crack that bitch open. Crack it open and put some 18650s in it. I know you want a Ford Focus RS now, don't you?
I'm looking at them and they're expensive though.
They're expensive, but they're. You go drive one, it's a different experience, man. Because you know, stock they make 350 horsepower.
Jesus.
Stock they make what my car did after a fucking stage 3 or stage 2 tune on a dyno. That car makes that power right off the line. So, yeah, I took my neighbors for a drive and I was like, wow, this is peppy, dude. And I can tell you right now that even though it has a smaller displacement motor than the Subaru, because that turbo spools up so quick, it has a lot more low end torque. Like my car, you have to keep it, above 3,500 RPM, like through the shifts and everything to keep that turbo, sufficiently gassed. The RS, like you literally can just let off the clutch, start rolling, and just pin the gas, and it'll try to rip the tires off the car. I mean, it is properly quick.
That's cool.
If I had to race one, I'd be working really hard while the dude would be literally sipping tea and just like. It also has torque vectoring too. It can brake like the inside left and right wheel, to pull it in to correct for oversteer, which is something that only the modern Subarus can do. Like my Subaru doesn't have that technology, but with the Subarus, you have to turn it on and off because it literally like aggressively wears your differential. Yeah. But the way Ford Focus RS did it with like this wet clutch thing or whatever, it doesn't wear it out. So they just leave it on all the time. So you have like all the time you have torque vectoring.
Nice.
Have I ever thought about doing custom maps on OBD2 boost chips for your Subaru? I already have a Cobb access port. My car is completely tuned. I've thought about doing open source tuning, but the truth is I have nightmares because I blew the motor up in my turbocharged Corolla by trying to tune it myself. And I learned a very expensive lesson. So I've decided to just let the pros do it from now on. So when I want to tune it, I just take it to Drift Office down in Oregon or the place right down by Puget Systems. There's a place down there called what's it called? Boost? No, I want to say Boosted Voice, but no, that's a YouTube channel. There's a place down in Auburn that has a DynoJet dyno, and they just tune Cobb. They're all Cobb access port. And I took it down there, and they did a really good job. They did 18 dyno pulls on my car to figure out a problem with the boost controller. They could not get the numbers where they wanted them to feel safe letting the car go. And they tracked it. They spent the time, and they didn't charge me any extra. They spent the time. They tracked it down. They found that it was the boost controller, the stock Subaru boost controller that was in the car was stuck partially open. So they could never hit the proper boost targets, which I didn't realize. Like also my car was like, it was spooling way slower than it did after I got it tuned. And so they replaced it with a Grimspeed one and then remapped the whole car for the aftermarket boost controller. And holy shit, is she a handful now. So, and to be honest, I don't know if you drove my car after I tuned it.
No, it's been a few years.
You drove it down in PDX. You didn't drive it. Now it's got another 63 horsepower and 80 foot-pounds of torque. So, and it is definitely noticeable. Like it's a runner. I mean, it'll bury the speedo. Like on I-90, I've actually completely buried the speedo needle where I had to get the recorded speed indicated from the Cobb access port because my gauge couldn't go any higher. And that was pretty cool because I don't think the STI normally was ever designed to be able to bury its 165 mile an hour speedometer. Explain the deep web to the kiddies out there. Cut Shop, what do you want to know about the deep web? What do you want to know? It's a scary place where few venture.
Yeah.
Well, technically, I mean, there's two things. There's the deep web and then there's the dark web, right? So,
and then there's the deep dark web.
Then there's the deep dark web. And I always get the two confused. Is the deep web Tor? All right, let's see. Hold on. Let me get my lexicon right before I start trying to explain this shit. Let's see. Okay, so deep web the movie? No.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
there, no, I got it. Okay, so the deep web is unindexed sites. So the deep web is unindexed sites, which means that you have to access them via direct links and direct IP addresses because they are unindexable by search engines. So that's the deep web. So that's like people passing around sites and forums and shit like that can't be indexed, so you have to know a guy. You can also find them usually just by fucking trolling every IP address using some kind of spider, but then your internet provider will get mad at you. And so the deep web, I don't even know of any deep web sites off the top of my head. The dark web, however, is accessible via Tor. That's the .onion sites. And all I'm going to say is if you go down that rabbit hole, fucking be careful. That place gets scary real fast, man. Like one time you think you're reading like some WikiLeaks shit for like the president, and then the next minute you're on some site fucking hiring a hit on your ex-girlfriend. It's like it's a scary place. It's literally like what movies like portray the bad internet as. Right. And it literally does exist, and it's completely obfuscated, and well, not completely, but it's mostly obfuscated and anonymous through Tor by using multiple random PCs constantly changing up to move little parts of data one by one so that no one carrier is sending all the data. Kind of like how BitTorrent works, but a little bit different. Very slow though. Very, very slow. Like, I mean, prepare to go back to like dial-up days. But yeah, it's a scary fucking place, dude. Like I highly would not recommend going there. Not to say that there aren't good sites on there. Like there's things you can go on there and like download like, you know, movies and music and pirate to your heart's content and shit. But I'm just saying that, which I am not condoning. I'm just saying that's a place where you can't go do it. But it's also a place where, you can end up places like really, really fast because the whole Onion network is basically like indexed through their little search engine thing that they have that they don't filter fuck all out of. And so you'll if you just start clicking on shit with reckless abandon, yeah, you're going to get visited by the FBI and they're going to put a gun to your head. So just beware. Yeah, Star said the deep web is anything you can't access normally, like private pages. Dark web is the scary place. That is right. That is very correct. I get them mixed up in my head sometimes. But yeah, the deep web is basically, so the way, at least in the United States, we have laws that prevent search engines like Google and Bing from indiscriminately searching IP addresses for web endpoints. That's one thing. They can't do that anymore. That's how they started to index back in the day. The other thing too is if there's metadata on your website that specifically says that this cannot be indexed, the search engines legally have to abide by that. So like if I wanted to make a web page here at my house and Google tried to index it because somebody linked it from somewhere and Google comes to my site, it'll see that metadata and it'll throw it away. It will not remember it because I could sue them otherwise. So those are sites that are only accessible because people actually gave you a direct link to them. You wouldn't find them on Google. You wouldn't find them on Bing. You wouldn't even find them on DuckDuckGo. So yeah, that's the deep web. And honestly, I can't even think of any deep web sites. Like that shit that like maybe like a couple of years ago, I think I had one that was torrent tracker. That was like, it wasn't indexed by anybody. It was one you literally had to type in like the IP address and the port.
Ugh.
But I don't know of many. Like it's something that I haven't used in a long time. And then all the like nefarious shit's all over on the dark web. The dark web is seriously like walking down like a back alley in like some crazy country where it's like you want to buy like an M60 grenade launcher and some mescaline. It's like just head on over to the dark web, you know. So and I'm not even joking. Like the dark web is where a lot of drug activity happens. People buy unregistered weapons and import them into the country under false pretenses. There's a lot of bad shit that happens there. A lot of child porn over there. You are warned. Like that is a fucking terrible minefield and that'll fuck you up. So I would stay well clear, honestly.
Just don't do it.
Don't do it. Because there's some shit you can't unsee. Like we talked about this on my Twitch show the other day. We were talking about like people that used to fucking try to get me to click on links to go to shit that would be like the Taliban, like killing a bunch of women and children. And it would just be like, you know, the video would pop up and it'd be like 2 seconds long, but it was enough that your brain just gets shocked. And you're like, fuck, what did I just see? And then you have nightmares for weeks, you know?
Yeesh.
And so I don't see a lot of that happen anymore. Like I learned my lesson. Just don't click on anything that's bit.ly. like just stay away from it. Don't trust redirects at all, ever. Right. But yeah, multiply that by 1,000. If you go on to the dark web, you can get down a rabbit hole pretty quick into like really crazy shit like snuff and it's bad. It's fucking bad. Silk Road secretly owned by Jeff Bezos to purchase hookers and blow. It's entirely possible, Mr. Blueberry. But yeah, me personally, I don't like Tor anyways because one, there's other ways that you can, you know, be anonymous without Tor, like using, you know, VPNs and shit like that. You know, if you want to go download your music or your movie or something like that. The other thing is Tor is incredibly slow. It's super duper slow, dude. It's like it's intolerable. Like if you're using Tor to be anonymous to access like a regular site, you are like wasting your time. It is the slowest fucking thing on planet Earth. And no matter how many times I used it back in the day, like I tried to download like a fucking MP3 and it would take like 10 minutes and I'd be like, are you serious? So let's see here. Star said, I've been down there and seen some shit. Not worth it for most people. I've become insensitive to many things because of it. I believe it, dude. Like, don't go down that road. Like, I understand curiosity. You know, curiosity gets the cat every once in a while. But, yeah, you don't want to fuck with Tor. Tor is bad. Just make your own VPN. Well, I mean, you could actually, that's the best way to do it. But the problem is to make your own VPN, you have to have a server somewhere. And if you have a server somewhere, you got to be paying for it. And if you're paying for it, there's some link back to you. And if you're like, but I can pay for it with cryptocurrency. Well, yeah, you're going to pay for it with cryptocurrency using a crypto wallet that somebody can go back through the blockchain and find some other transaction you did where you got some Bitcoin from somebody who knew who you were. And then they can put all that big chain of custody together and still figure out who you are. So if you think cryptocurrency keeps you anonymous, no. As a matter of fact, that's how Silk Road kept getting taken down, is because of the fucking blockchain. Let's see here. Barnacules said, have a VPN server at your house. Yeah, I'm on a VPN. God, that would so defeat the purpose of having a VPN.
Right.
You're like, bro, I got a VPN. It's on my same IP address. I just added another layer of abstraction that gives me nothing. A lot of people do make their own VPNs, though. It's not unheard of. Like, you can just go to like Azure, or there's lots of places online you can rent servers from. It's kind of expensive, though. I mean, for a good server and a good amount of bandwidth, you're probably going to pay between $50 and $100 a month. But the cool thing about it is you get full reign of that server. You can install whatever operating system you want. You can install web services, host web pages, set up game servers, create a VPN tunnel through it, set up proxies, I mean, you can do a lot of shit with it. So I do know people that do that just go the road of just renting a server, because then they don't have to worry about the VPN like logging or leaking their information or anything like that, because it's like they own everything. They own the server. They're the only ones that can log into it. Not even the people in the data center can log into the server, because you're the one that installs it and sets all the credentials. So it's actually a really good way to go, but it also costs like $50 or $100 a month. So most people are like, nah, because I don't got a $50 or $100 a month to rent a server right now. But if I did, it'd be cool. Like, there were times where I did have servers for like hosting, back in the day when I used to host Quake games. Not Quake. Was it Quake? I think it was Quake. No, Unreal Tournament. Sorry. I used to host Unreal Tournament games. And my internet connection was so fucking slow that if I hosted a server, I could get like 2 other players in, and there would be lag problems and stuff like that. So instead, I just rented the server. Back then, I want to say it was $20 a month. It was a lot cheaper back then. It's $20 a month. I installed a Linux distribution on it. I set up the server on it, and I just used Telnet to connect to it and like log into the bash prompt and start the server, and then everybody would connect to it, and then I could get like 8 players into the game, and it was like perfectly smooth. So that was pretty cool. But I don't know how many people are doing that today. Yeah, CBD, you got to ask him a question.
I love it when some people do that, because it's like I do actually. It's just you probably missed the parts where I'm having my piece. Nah,
he just wants to be a prick.
Yeah.
Level 3 TV said yeah.
I wasn't being too mean about it. Trying to look this up, but why does cable play basically only like 2 shows? For example, Comedy Central, it would be like 6 hours. What?
Wait, what are you reading?
James Janas. I tried looking this up, but why does cable play basic? I missed a few where commas ought to be. Basically, why does cable only have like 2 shows? For example, Comedy Central, it'll be like 6 hours of South Park and 6 hours of The Office. I feel like that's a confirmation bias. You're noticing it because you're looking for it in a way. You can if you're on cable, if you pay for the Comcast or whatever, you can see the programming list and see when shows, are on and their whole schedule and stuff. It's just I bet you anything, you just happen to be tuning in at the times, and it seems weird, but random coincidence does explain a lot of this sort of thing. But yeah.
Does anybody watch cable anymore? Like, is that even a thing?
Like, I was watching a movie just last night on cable, and I'm like, these fucking commercials, man. It seems like 3 minutes of show for 5 minutes of commercials, and it's like, this is dumb.
That's why I laugh when people get mad at it on YouTube. Oh, by the way, we should probably talk about what's happening on YouTube. Did you see that chunk of news?
Oh, is this where they're forcing mid-roll ads?
Yep.
Is that the thing? Yeah, I heard about that.
So starting, I think, July 27th or 28th, it's one of those days, YouTube's going to turn on a feature that enables mid-roll ads for every single video on YouTube that's more than 8 minutes long.
Wow.
So your YouTube experience is going to become just like television. They're going to use AI to find natural breaks in language and just started inserting commercials. They didn't say the frequency, how many they're going to add, but they said mid-roll ads. If you are over 8 minutes long, there will be an ad shown in the middle of your video somewhere.
Wow.
And so there is a way to opt out, but you have to do it per video, and you have to dig deep into each video to find the option to opt out of it. So they made it as hard as possible. So for my 800 videos, take forever. So I'm just going to let it ride.
And it's like retroactive, right? They're going through old videos as well, aren't they?
Correct. They specifically stated in the thing that this will affect every video in your library, including stuff you uploaded in the past. So I have over 800 videos in my library, and they're all going to get mid-roll ads. So I'm curious to see like what happens, because one, this isn't going to affect people with ad blocker, so I think it's just going to make more people install ad blocker.
Right.
And the other problem is I wonder if it's going to affect the TV apps, the smart TV apps. Because if you never noticed, if you watch YouTube on a smart TV, it only shows an ad when you first open the app and watch the first video, and then it never shows you an ad again your whole watching experience.
Interesting to point that out. Yeah,
and I really hope that doesn't change, because I watch 99% of my YouTube on my TV, and it's like I just leave the app open. As long as you leave the app open, it only runs an ad. If you move away from the app to something else and come back to it, it'll show one more ad, and then you can watch for 10 hours if you want without another ad. But yeah, it's gonna be like ad apocalypse the other direction.
Right.
Hey Zam, thank you for the $2. Said everybody just needs to get YouTube Premium. God, wouldn't that be nice? What do you all think of PC gaming on the couch? It's awesome. PC game everywhere.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Does it show mid-roll ads for creators that aren't applicable for ad revenue? That's a good question, because I believe on YouTube, if you're not applicable for ad revenue, they still run ads on your video to just, to pay for hosting your videos. You just don't get any of it.
Huh.
So as far as the mid-roll ads, I don't know if they'll apply to people that don't have monetization enabled.
Yeah.
But my monetization has gone way down on YouTube. Obviously, I haven't been making any new content, but it's suffered pretty greatly. So I'm curious to see if this improves the take of the channel or if it actually makes things worse and drives viewership down, because I think it could go either way. We'll find out in this next installment. So so here, let's move on. We talked about nuclear reactors and cars. What about this H.266 codec?
Yeah, I'm actually this sounds really neat, but it's super brand new, so it doesn't change anything yet.
Yeah.
Apparently some very smart people, Fraunhofer, the German company that helped develop H.264, 265, and MP3 encoding formats, has unveiled a new video encoding standard that could severely, I love the use of the word severely here, severely reduce streaming bottlenecks.
It's a bad thing.
Yeah, there's usually a negative spin with the word severe.
Yeah.
But this is actually kind of a good thing. Called H.266, or Versatile Video Coding, VVC. It's specifically designed for 4K and 8K streaming and reduces data requirements by around 50% compared to H.265, HEVC. At the same time, the improved compression won't compromise visual quality. So very cool, very cool. So everybody had their fingers in the development of it. Apple, Ericsson, Intel, Huawei, Microsoft, Qualcomm, and Sony. It's going to be licensed by the Media Coding Industry Forum, a group with 34 major member companies. The aim here is to avoid the kind of licensing squabbles that plagued the H.264 codec a decade ago. Oh, I must have missed that. Yeah, so it's they did it to try and help relieve a lot of the high definition, ultra high resolution streaming, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of curious. I've never seen VVC. This is completely brand new to me.
Brand new.
I don't even know if I don't even know if Adobe even has an encoder for it yet.
No, there's no software standard yet, though Fraunhofer said it will deliver one this fall. And they are working with new chips will be required for the use of the H.266, such as those in mobile devices, and they are currently being designed. So it's going to be a little while before you see it start working.
I mean, I think it's really cool. My biggest fear, though, is it because it's a brand new codec, does that mean it's not going to be able to use the H.264 decoder on the Nvidia cards? Because, if it can't hardware decode, it's going to just smash the shit out of your CPU.
Yeah.
Especially at 4 and 8K resolution. So
they must have thought about that while they're developing this. They must.
Yeah, I'm curious because right now, most of my last uploads I've done to YouTube have been actually H.265. Yeah. Because with H.265, I actually get a tighter compression than I do with H.264. And a better video quality overall at the similar bit rates.
So I put the official newsletter link there in the chat. This is direct from the Fraunhofer company.
Yeah, like that Star said. Now let's hope that Microsoft doesn't make you pay for it like H.265 on the Microsoft Store. Right. Something tells me that because Sony is actually listed, so the company developed the codec in collaboration with partners including Apple. Okay, so these are the ones that are important to remember. Okay, Apple, Intel, Microsoft, and Sony. Those are 4 companies that don't like to give shit away for free. So,
right.
So chances are, and Sony's the biggest out of that list as far as companies that literally just camp and prey on licensing fees for video technology. It's literally like why Betamax failed. It's a shock that Blu-ray like actually won, but still, they're licensing. They're crazy licensing people. So my guess would be that when the H.266 codec, even though it was developed by all these companies, I think all these companies are probably going to come together and charge a solid price to license it in some way, shape, or form. Or at the very least, license it to the intermediates, like the graphics card companies, to be able to encode and decode it. Licensing it to the operating system. So Microsoft will probably have, because Microsoft's involved, I'm going to guess it's probably going to be free. Because if Microsoft's involved, they're probably just going to license it for nothing to their to whoever's using their operating system, because they'll have no cost tied up into it because of their agreement and working on it. But outside of that family, outside of Apple, like if you're on my guess is, because Apple, Microsoft, and Sony are involved in it, if you are on an iPad or an Apple device or Microsoft Windows 10, you're just gonna get it for free. It'll just be automatically licensed and built into the operating system, but it'll be licensed to everybody outside of that family.
Right.
So like for instance, AMD, like Intel's in here, so Intel's probably gonna get it for free too. With their encoder that they have on their modern CPUs. AMD's probably not getting. I don't see AMD on this list, so I'm sure they'll have to pay to license it. But I like how they said that they all work together to squabble these problems with H.264. But the funny thing is, that's a very short list of companies overall that do video.
Right.
Like I don't see Adobe in there. I don't see so there's going to be a lot of people that still are going to be pissed off about licensing this thing if they charge for it.
Toward the end here of the announcement that they made, it says a uniform and transparent licensing model based on the FRAND principle, fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory, is planned to be established for the use of standard essential patents related to H.266. For this purpose, the Media Coding Industry Forum was founded. In addition to Fraunhofer, the MCIF now includes 30 plus companies and organizations to help, I guess, with the whole that whole licensing thing.
This will be a game changer though for streaming services. So like at half the bandwidth. Like think about it. Netflix is the largest bandwidth consumer on planet Earth. There is no other site on the entire internet that uses more bandwidth. That's like actually when the net neutrality shit was going down, like Netflix was the one that's like, no, keep net neutrality, because they use most of the internet's bandwidth. Like there's a lot of companies that are pissed off at Netflix because since it's a shared environment and everybody gets equal access to it and it's basically free beyond a certain point to use, they were really taking advantage of that. So the nice thing is if they do license this technology to Netflix could effectively just overnight drop its bandwidth consumption by 50%. Yeah. That would change the entire internet. Like they consume so much bandwidth on the internet that it would be noticeable to everybody in every download and everything that you do, like in a day.
Yeah, it says compressed video data makes up 80% of global internet traffic.
Yeah.
At the beginning of that announcement. And I believe it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is it even beats porn. Like for one time in history, Netflix actually beats porn. Like Netflix uses more bandwidth. And the main reason too is because of their streaming quality, right? Netflix, I think at their highest bit rate can stream, like it was like 14 megabit a second or something, HDR, 4K, like, and like with minimal compression. So this would be a big deal. This would be a really big deal. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see it as long as they don't go all licensing fuck with it. Apple and Sony are the ones that worry me out of the list, though, because Apple and Sony are both companies that are really, really good about like implementing technology into their own shit to try to force people to go to it, and then like screwing everybody else out of it or making it cost prohibitive for anybody else to join in the arena. So, do you think Apple will buy Sony? There's rumors that Apple's will buy Sony. Well, to be honest, Apple could buy anybody. Apple could literally buy Microsoft. And if you think Microsoft isn't for sale, like Microsoft almost got sold a couple of times, even when I was there.
I feel like Sony would do some sort of like toxic, like tank their own cost, or like there's ways that they can go about making a company like toxic to purchase by like almost artificially inflating the cost. Like if it was going to be like a full on stock buyout.
That's what Yahoo did.
I was just recently reading about that kind of a thing.
Yeah, Microsoft tried to buy Yahoo, dude, for $80 billion is what they want. $80 billion.
Yeah, that's a good thing they didn't. Man,
yeah, Yahoo, like how do you value Yahoo at $80 billion? You don't. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Sony wouldn't. Just I feel, and I just don't think they would do it. Sony's too much of their own thing.
Wow, I just found some other cool technology on here.
What's that?
A diabetes monitor that just like sticks on you like a patch. That's pretty damn cool.
Oh, I've seen I've seen some videos of people like, oh, I'm swapping out my monitor thing for the first time, and it's like tearing duct tape off your nerds, man. The thing is on there like super good.
It's like it should. It probably has a needle sticking in you, I'm guessing.
Yeah. That's an intense thing.
Yeah, I have a I should say I had. I don't hang out with him too much anymore because he's in jail. But I had a friend.
It difficult.
Yeah, it does actually. But no, he's a lifelong diabetic, and I remember when we went to school together. He had to do the testing himself, where he'd like draw his own blood and put it on a little test strip and shit. And God, man, like he'd have like 50 million holes because he's one of those people where he had to take insulin like 5 times a day. Like he was super insulin dependent. And it got to the point where like it didn't even make him flinch or nothing. He'd just be like, just be sitting there talking to me and just get out and like grab his little syringe and just be like, okay, test me, bloop, okay, oh, my blood glucose, okay, okay, let's go.
Wow.
It's just, and I fucking hate needles, man. When I was doing testosterone or the TRT therapy for a couple of months, that was fucking a nightmare, man. It was a nightmare. My wife had to give me the shots because I could not do it. I tried to stab myself like 100 times. I could not do it.
Jeez.
I cannot stick myself with a needle, like no matter what. Like if my life depended on it, yeah. I'm glad that I got the EpiPens though, because the EpiPens you don't really have to stab yourself so much as you just put it against your leg and it does the work. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, I could not take a syringe with a needle on it and be like, even when I was looking away, I'd look away and just like try to just stab it into my ass, like back here, be like, and I'd poke myself a little and be like, ah. And like blood would start coming out and I'd be like, oh shit. And then the thing I had to learn this the hard way about needles. So once you use a needle, doesn't matter. Even if you stab it into the ampule to draw fluid out of it, like you always see in the movies, they're always like, and then stabbing the person and putting it into it. You can't do that. You dull the needle. Like when you put the needle in to pull the medicine out of the bottle, you've dulled that needle. So you have to use one needle to draw the medicine out, take it off, stick another one on it, and then that's the one you use to inject.
Oh, man.
And I didn't know that. So the first couple of times we did my testosterone shot, it hurt so fucking bad because my wife was literally bouncing the needle off me and it wasn't breaking the skin. And then the nurse was like, hey, no, you got to replace the needle. Like use a big gauge needle to pull and then throw it away because it's dull. Put a sharp small gauge needle on it and then inject it. Once she figured that out, it was a lot easier. But I didn't know that. I always thought that you could just take the little ampule, stab the needle through it, be like, and then just give yourself a shot. But no, it dulls the needle. Once you touch that needle to something, it's so laser sharp. That just touching it against something dulls it completely. And getting stabbed with a dull needle is like the most painful thing ever. I'm like, why does this hurt so bad?
Damn,
but
man.
We got it all figured out, though. I kind of miss it, though, man. I miss being on testosterone. Kind of put a little spring in my step.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. Huh. I could grow facial hair like, more than 3 hairs a month. But can't do it anymore. Can't do it anymore because of blood clot risks.
Bogus.
So I guess I'll just have to make testosterone the old-fashioned way by jerking it 40 times a day. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Hey, how about the last topic? Let's bang this sucker out. Astronomers find first known exposed core of a gas giant. I have no idea what this means, so you're gonna have to take point on this one.
Big gas giants, right? Like Jupiter and Saturn.
Yep.
There is a solid core, just like they assume. I believe they assume there's some sort of solid core, and then probably a further liquid core in the, further in there. But it's I think it's been just somewhat theoretical, but how else do you explain it, sort of a thing. But I guess so. Here we'll quote from the article. Gas giants like Jupiter and Saturn are known to have cores at their centers, but seeing those is difficult unless nature cooperates. So obviously you got all the storms and weird, crazy stuff. Apparently, the University of Warwick have discovered what they say is the first known exposed gas giant core. Let's see here. TOI 849b is a planet about 730 light years away, close to Neptune's size. Earth-like density that suggests it should have accumulated layers of hydrogen and helium. It did not, however. This indicates that something stripped the gas away, assuming it formed properly in the first place. So there's 2 explanations. One, it grew and it just didn't get a chance to gather up the gas that would have turned it into something like Neptune or Saturn or something, or because it is very close to its star, completing an orbit in about 18 hours.
Oh boy, it's whipping around there.
Yeah, it could be that the gases were stripped away by that sort of speed.
Force.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. We're gonna, I suppose they still need to look at it a bit more to figure out just exactly what it is, what it's made out of, and things like that. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Just one of those things that, like, it's just weird. Like, how did this happen? And like,
yeah, the things we learn about our universe is it's so infinite that it's like just completely random that we learn new things. Like just looking out there.
Yeah, constantly finding all kinds of new stuff out there.
Like, did you hear about that experiment they're doing here on Earth? Now that they got dialed in, they can actually detect when black holes collide.
No, that sounds cool.
So there's
gravity waves?
Yes, gravimetric waves, my friend. They have these 2 detection centers in the United States, one on the East Coast and one is here in Washington. And it's basically like these 4-kilometer tubes that they shine a laser beam down, and it goes back and forth 12 times between mirrors. So it's like a 12-kilometer run, and they can measure the distance in microns at the arrival of that laser, and they can figure out the compression of the Earth from gravitational waves.
That's cool.
Like down to like imperceivable measurements, but they're so accurate that they can absolutely tell and even confirm with telescopes that there has been a collision between 2 black holes. Because as the black holes come together, they start spinning super, super, super fast. Like the closer they get, they spin faster and faster and faster and faster. And as they start to clump together, they create this weird form, and it like bends space-time. And then those waves go out through space for billions and billions of miles. And cool. We can detect them now. So I don't really know what that means. Like, I guess it's just another one of those experiments to just kind of understand like the physics behind, our universe. Yeah. But I thought that was kind of interesting that they can now detect that. Like, they have a detection mechanism here on Earth. And it's like so sensitive that like if a vehicle drives by, it can actually like fuck with the sensor. So they have to like shut down traffic and stuff when they're taking measurements. Wow. It's pretty damn cool though. Like that they can build these, these giant apparatuses, like the Large Hadron Collider, right? It's like they literally built like this, $8 billion, probably more than that now with all the refits and everything, but like an $8 billion complex that takes up an absorbent amount of land, a lot of precious minerals. Like they actually built this thing, and like 3 countries had to like participate because it like literally crosses the border of like multiple countries. It's so fucking big. And they did all that not knowing that they would find the Higgs boson. Like it was literally purely theoretical, and they built that entire machine just to confirm if their suspicion was correct, and they did. So Higgs boson is confirmed. The standard method for the physics of our universe now makes sense again. Because that was the whole problem. Is I guess we have this thing called, the standard model, which is supposed to explain how all physics, mathematical physics of like how gravity works between mass and all this shit. And apparently there's a hole in it, and there's always been a hole in it that like there's certain things like light. How does light have mass, or light doesn't have perceivable mass, but it does.
Right.
And so the model couldn't figure that out. Anyways, they managed to catch the Higgs boson after like several attempts. They found out that this like little particle that exists only for like a fucking infinite fraction of a millisecond. This particle exists that's unlike any other particle. That's actually what lends mass to things like light. I think it's light or something like that. But anyways, it's because this thing exists. Once you add it into the standard model, then it confirms the whole thing works.
Wow.
So they confirmed it. They because there's this hole that was always bugging everybody. That's like, oh man, under this one situation, the standard model does not apply. Like the fucking end result does not justify what's there. And then you fucking plug electron mass. Thank you. It's the mass of an electron. So once you plug that into the standard model, then everything works. The math works again for everything. So they're like, wow, we've actually confirmed it that, we understand the mathematics of the universe and mass. Like we understand how mass is assigned to things. And I mean, there's still a lot of unknowns, right? Like gravity is still a big one, right? We understand how gravity works, that mass mass has an association with gravity, but now we're learning that gravity can actually bend and change. Like you can actually, like these gravitational waves that come off of these, like, a black hole, it's literally bending space. So space actually has a rigidity to it. Like nothingness has a strength of like 10 million times the strength of steel. It actually has a rigidity associated with it, but it can be bent. And the fact that we actually know that now is pretty cool, because it's like, if you can bend space, a fraction of a micron with, a million atomic bombs going off at once, does that mean that at some point in the future we'll have the technology to bend space, like to even generate more energy than that and actually bend space and put 2 points together?
Yeah.
And start jumping the waves to get to where we want to go. You know,
that's gonna be cool.
It's just, I don't know. It's kind of cool to look at that from like a sci-fi perspective, because like, yeah, it takes two black holes crashing together to create this minor ripple in gravity. Like, it's so minuscule that it takes like, 12 kilometers of detection equipment across an entire continent of a planet to like detect the most minuscule effects of two black holes crashing together. So it's like, how much energy does it actually take to bend space in a significant way? Like, to make it use like a lot more than that. So it's like, will we ever have the capability to generate power like that? It's interesting to think about it. But if we do, it is theoretically possible. If you could generate that amount of power, you could theoretically travel, well, because you could bend gravity. You could also, that'd be bending space-time. And if you can bend space-time, you could, in theory, just fold it and go anywhere you want in space, any point in space, instantaneously.
That's been a lot of like sci-fi stuff surrounding that kind of a thing. Instead of like punching holes or like it's if you could, or they've talked about like high energy like magnets in a way. I think that's oversimplifying, but like you basically if you press the space in front of you and bend it, you're like constantly falling forward, and you can go really fast that way, like surfing almost.
Like riding a wave?
Yeah. Remember that horrible space thriller called Event Horizon? I liked that movie, okay? That was scary as shit.
I like Victor. He's like, you just explained the plot of Interstellar. Dude, Interstellar doesn't have a plot, dude. I watched that movie like twice. I still don't fucking understand what's going on. Ghosts.
Yeah, I understand Inception better than Interstellar.
Yeah, Inception made sense to me. Like, Inception actually did make sense to me. Interstellar, I watched it twice, and I was just like, what? Like I get a lot of it, like up to the point where then he's like floating through the library and like pushing books out into like his daughter's room in the past or whatever. I was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah,
I'm like, I just got lost at that point. I was like, oh, is Stanley Kubrick still alive? Like, what's going on?
Like, love ghosts. You know?
Hey, Jose, thank you for the $1.99. He said, quantum computers find the medicine for COVID-19. Wait, is that like recent news? I haven't heard anything about that. Have you?
Yeah, what? No.
Quantum computers, COVID-19. Quantum computers are good at a lot of things. Okay, they're just saying that someday it can find the cure for viruses and diseases.
Oh. Found a lot of good that's doing me now.
Yeah, that ain't doing shit for me now. Quantum computing is weird, though. Like, quantum computing is... I don't know. It breaks how the human brain works. Because it's like, I'm used to yes and no. I'm not used to yes and no and maybe. And sometimes. like those registers do not compute with me in quantum computing. Or what is the other one? Quantum entanglement is another thing that like just blows my mind and doesn't make any sense to me. Like the fact that you can actually have particles have like this symbolic bond that transverses space and time. Like you can literally have one particle here and you can have, apparently they did some fucking experiment. I don't remember where I read about this, but they did an experiment where they altered a particle on Earth and observed it changing in space. So they actually found two quantum entangled particles and they manipulated one and they saw the other one change. So it's like a reference to it. And it was I can't remember the experiment. It was a while ago, but it was basically, to prove that quantum entanglement exists. And I'm like, but I'm trying to wrap my head around it reading this fucking article. And I'm like, it just looks like sci-fi jargon to me. I'm like, how did somebody come up with the theory? How did they know where to look for the particle? Did they know the particle was going to generate there? Because they create like an environment that if quantum entanglement was true, they knew it would show up there. How did they know it was going to show up there? It's like, I don't fucking know how they did this, but apparently they used like some fucking laser grammetry or something like that and altered a particle here and observed it at the exact moment, correcting for space, time, and distance and all that. It fucking changed at the other location. It's like, how do you, oh my God. See, again, any sufficiently advanced technology is perceived as magic, right?
Oh, for sure.
So the idea being is with quantum entanglement is that everything in the universe has a permanent and symbolic link that can't be broken. But it's like, what things are linked together? Why are they linked together? When you affect one, it affects the other. Could you use quantum entanglement to teleport yourself? Because technically you'd be existing in two places at the same time. So you just need to basically switch your consciousness between those two things. Like, could you do that? Like, because your consciousness is basically energy, right? It's electricity versus matter. I don't know, but it's pretty fucking crazy theory that like doesn't make any sense to me, but apparently it's been proven. Apparently this is like no longer theory, like quantum entanglement is proven. Jose Contreras, thank you for the $1.99. So quantum computers find the medicine for COVID-19. I can't find anything on it. I found some things that said that quantum computers may find the cure for it, but I haven't seen anything that said they did find the cure for it.
Yeah.
So quantum entanglement is just the way all your pants are twisted around every other pair of pants when you pull them out of the washer. No, that's washer entanglement, bro. That's crazy. Time in relative dimensions in space, it means life. I don't know. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy, man. There's a lot of stuff that we're learning about space that's just like mind blowing. Like I can see why people are so interested in exploring it. And then the last thing was somebody asked if we know anything about Dr. Disrespect Man. No, it's the most fucking guarded secret in all of the world.
Yep.
I know more about like the fucking nuclear codes that Trump sold to Vladimir Putin than I do about Dr. Disrespect getting banned off Twitch. So it's like anybody's guess at this point. All I can tell you is it's something really fucking bad, because if it wasn't, we'd hear something by now. It is something devastatingly bad. That part I know, but I don't know anything beyond
huge. And it was right in the middle of a lot of, a lot of people getting called out on things. And
yeah, my guess is Dr. Disrespect probably diddled somebody that he wasn't supposed to diddle in the past, and they caught up with him.
Yeah,
that's my guess, and he's doing as much damage control as humanly possible, so that it's probably like mutually assured destruction between him and Twitch.
Something like it's crazy, because like the last thing he even posted on was back in June, toward the end of June.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Who knows?
All right, well, I think it's about time to wrap up. We just hit our 3-hour mark. We would like to thank all of the super chatters. Thank you so much for supporting us. We split those super chats up between us. Each one of these tech talks. We're both co-hosts of the show. We are both part owners of the show. So we share the wealth, and you guys keep us eating, which we appreciate very, very much.
Thank you very much.
We will see you guys again next week on Catterday.
Actually, what? No. I am.
You're fired.
I will be in Mexico next Saturday.
Oh, you going to Mexico? What are you doing in Mexico?
Cancun. There's a cool resort that it was a Christmas gift to the girls. So
careful, Trump might not let you back in, dude. Be careful.
Oh yeah, we'll see.
You might get stuck down there and have to like start selling chiclets or something.
He seems to be on good terms with the Mexican president, so it seems okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been to Mazatlan, and it was one of the best vacations I ever had in my life. Like Mexico is like a fountain of youth. Like you go there, you can drink unlimited amounts, not throw up, not get a hangover. You'll sleep like a baby, and it's weird. The different physics apply there than up here in Washington.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as I can tell, flying in is okay. They're being really really strict at the land borders. There'll be screening and stuff in the airports. But otherwise, we're good to go. And
mask up, bro. Mask up.
Yeah, flights early morning Wednesday, and I'll be back the following Wednesday. So from the 15th to the 22nd, essentially. So you'll miss me next Saturday.
That's fine, but I will tell you this: you are going to have the time of your life.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, put it to the test at least one day. Drink like 16 shots of tequila and just float around in this. No, their tequila down there's better too. I don't know what it is. Like it's the weather or something makes it taste better. I don't even like tequila, but I drank 16 shots of tequila and I floated in a pool for 9 hours. I never left the pool. You guys can probably figure out what that also means happened. But anyways, I don't want to go there. I was drunk for like in the pool all day from morning to night. And I ate all my food in the pool at the poolside bar. I drank and I literally walked out of the pool, pissed drunk, up the stairs, didn't manage to kill myself, got back to my room, went to sleep, and I woke up and I had zero hangover, and it was the best sleep I've ever had in my entire life. And I am a person that alcohol, like drinking one beer, usually makes me hungover and feel like shit the next day. There's just something about I don't know if it's the humidity, the barometric pressure, the temperature, like the cold, but it's like you are immortal down there. It is crazy, dude. It's crazy. Right. So put that to the test while you're down there. Just hey, Mr. Blueberry, quiet, shh. You're not supposed to do that. But I might have put the chemical test. Well, I was drunk as shit. I wasn't about to like get out of the pool and try to like they're lucky I didn't leave like a fucking like Toblerone in there. But yeah, you're gonna have a good time, man. Okay, so we won't see you guys Saturday. When do you get back again? Thursday or?
Leaving the 15th, coming back the 22nd.
On the 22nd. So let's see.
Yeah, so the Saturday of the 25th, we're good to go.
So when you come back on the 22nd? Okay, so we're just going to skip Tech Talk next week.
Correct.
I'll just plan on doing a stream over on Twitch then, just so you guys got something to watch. If you guys want to watch our Twitch streams, we both stream independently over on Twitch in addition to doing Tech Talk here. If you want to check those out, it's in the video description. Yep. And all of our social media is also down there too. So if there's something we didn't answer during the stream or you want to say hi or anything like that, come on over to Twitter and add us. Yes. And we would be happy to say hello back to you. And I think that's about it, my bro. I will see you guys back here in 2 weeks. Hopefully by that time I'll have some new YouTube content up because I'm starting to feel a little bit spicy again, just a little bit, not 100%, but I'm moving more towards spicy. So we'll see what that gets us. All right, guys, we will catch you later and see you next time. Bye. We love you guys, though, seriously.